Well, good night, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me. Good night, good night, good night.
Good.
And you can hear me having some other noise in the background. This is Kranky um, stepping in for Manning's Band this evening and decided to do a show this evening to take us into 2024. It was important for those who are joining. And I'm sure most people are probably out this evening enjoying the celebrations for New Year. So as you join in the chat, just say hello. And I know I didn't do all the advertising for Manning's Man because, as usual, I have no idea how to do this, frankly. But for those who are joining the show this evening, thanks. We have a lot to talk about. So tell me if you can hear me, by the way, so to make sure that I'm coming across clearly, because I have a feeling that I'm not sure how well I've started this program, but just let me know if you can hear me. Would love to ensure that I'm clear this evening. We have really good dialogue and discussion. I'm also going to have. Let me know if you can hear me though, because I'm not sure. I'm getting some feedback in my ears here. So for those of you joining, I know we have about 6 people on the line. And as you come in, please hit the like button as you come in the show, because I'm going to take us into 2024. I know you have much better things you could be doing this evening, but you're here joining us, and that's truly appreciated. But just let me know as you come into the chat if you can hear me clearly before I go on my soliloquy, which I'll probably be doing for a while engaging you. So as you come in the chat, just let me know if you can hear me. But it's going to be I hope, a good discussion this evening, because I have a lot that I want to talk about. And also we'll have a call in actually, and you'll have to forgive me if I don't get this right. I sort of decided that to do what I call an impromptu show, which is just a spur of the moment. I was listening to Minzy earlier, talking about 2023 and some of his thoughts for 2024, and decided to also bring in the new year, sorry, on this forum. As such, I want to thank Manning's Man for indulging me and allowing me to use this platform to the show to bring in 2024. As you know, Manning's is a man of God and is with his congregation tonight as they celebrate and bring in the new year. There's a lot to talk about. So today's discussion is going to be, or tonight's discussion, I should say, as we proceed in 2024, will be about sort of world events that have occurred, just touch upon a few of those, and major sporting events for 2023, and also some reflection on some of my thoughts for 2024. And I would say a couple of things. One is the ways in terms of how one communicate historically were through mediums that were controlled by either big companies or individuals. And I would say that communication with audiences is no longer the exclusive domain of certain people. And anyone who desires to talk, have something to say, can utilize mediums such as YouTube to do so and reach a global audience. And this is great because also, even though this is great, it also has drawbacks, right? Sometimes people have conspiracy theories or perspective which doesn't align with how one should really engage people. Actually, they put out news which may not be accurate. And I found it out this evening because when I decided to do this show this evening, I went on ChatGPT, which is AI, and on Bard to sort of get some information that may inform tonight's discussion. And luckily, I'm familiar with some of these topics because half the information was wrong. It was talking about 2022 versus 23. In fact, ChatGPT says it's only up to 2022 in terms of how it's been programmed. And Bard, which is a competition for ChatGPT, which is a Google product, ChatGPT, major investor is Microsoft, gave me half the information that was wrong. So as you go to the internet and search for information, just make sure you get comfortable with your source that provides you that information, because it may not be accurate, actually. And also, I'm a sort of a voracious reader, not necessarily of books, but just articles and information. And so have some familiarity with a number of these things that are happening across the globe. So can have a view and a perspective, but also assess whether the information may be accurate, or try to authenticate information by different sources and different ways. And you'd be surprised how much misinformation you garner. So that's important. And I also want to say, I got introduced to the YouTube channels through Apollo, who's a friend of mine who lives in the UK and has a forum entitled Arsenal 101, where they talk mainly about Arsenal, Arsenal, the football team in the UK, and how it's doing, and the players and coaches and things of that nature, and the fans. And also through Coach Minzy, who has Coach's Desk platform, and both have allowed me to come on their program to talk about different things and being what we call an analyst. So I appreciate those two individuals for introducing me to YouTube. And having said that, I've decided also myself in 2024 to start what I'm going to call a couple of channels. One is a sports channel, but I'm also big in talking about economic and social matters. So I will also do that in 2024. I'll have more time at my disposal as I cut back my corporate involvement, and we'll have more time to engage people in YouTube forums. So I will be starting my own channels in 2024. So that's coming, and I hope that each of you will subscribe to it. I will say that I do appreciate the commenters and individuals who join these programs. You could do something else, and you could use your time in different ways and different means, and you decide to join us and engage with us. And I must tell you, I truly enjoy these platforms, regardless of the back and forth and the dialogue, because I don't watch TV as much as I used to. I'm a sports junkie, but even in some areas of sports, I don't watch as much. But I find myself spending more and more time on this platform to engage people, because it's always good to engage people much more live and much more directly versus some indirect means, such as you watching your TV and there's no engagement and communication. So it's good to be in these forums and engage people, sometimes like-minded, something different, but most times well-intended. So that's great. Mr. United, big up. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. Let me know if everyone can hear me clearly, as I'm going to make sure that we have a really good dialogue tonight, actually. So my first thing I'm going to talk about, and this is just not going to be a football program tonight. I do intend to touch on football. I do intend to touch upon Jamaica. I wouldn't say touch upon, spend a lot of time and more time talking about this. But a lot of this will be about engaging you. So I do my little soliloquy first, talking about world events and football events. But I would say this. I did spend about an hour and a half prior to this program trying to get a phone number just for tonight. And I have my nephew here who he and I get along brilliantly, and he was calling Jamaica to get number. Don't ask me how we do it, because I'm sort of challenging those areas. So I do have a phone number. So remind me when I'm about half an hour, 45 minutes in, to give out the phone number, and you can call in. I'm not taking people on the platform through sending a link, but I will take phone calls for this number. It's on WhatsApp, so don't call directly, because it's a Jamaica number. If you call from the US directly, that means you're going to be paying that bill. It's a WhatsApp number, and I'll give the number out. And I will limit the conversation to 5 minutes, because hopefully we'll have more people join and people may want to call in. So, but I would appreciate having conversation with you live, actually. And thanks for being here. So my first point I want to touch upon, as I said, my interest in life is not just sports. I am very broad-based in my thinking and things that I like to talk about and engage with. So I'm going to go geopolitical first, but I won't spend a lot of time on each of these topics. So the war in Ukraine, which took up a lot of time in 2022 and also prominent in 2023. But it's interesting how life works, which is that war was the main thing at one point, right? Russia invades Ukraine, took about 1/5 of the land. A lot of people have been killed today, thousands and thousands, even though if you listen to the media, it's only Russians getting killed, but a lot of Ukrainians have got killed. We only hear Ukrainian getting killed when some missile occur, a bomb occur, and Russia is pummeling the Ukrainians, but there are deaths, a lot of deaths on both sides. But it's amazing how things change and how our interests change, because we now have the situation in the Middle East with the Palestinians and the Israelis, and no one is focused on Ukraine anymore. In fact, Congress in the US, which have allocated billions to the Ukrainian war with Russia, is now pivot, and a lot of money is going to Israel to fight Palestinians / Hamas. And I would say this on those things, which is I would just love for human beings to respect life. It's interesting how we easy to kill people, and especially people who don't look like us. It's amazing how that works. And that's disturbing, that's concerning, and that's frustrating to me. That, this life thing is very, very short. I have a lot of discussion with my nephew about life in general. And he asked me how I got this season because he can't understand how I got this old. And I keep telling him that, don't worry about it. Because he's 21. I said, don't worry about it. It'll happen soon. You'll be surprised if you turn around how things change. And we're now going to 2024 tomorrow. And 2023 just was yesterday. So time flies, events happen. And we as people don't seem to respect life, which is short. We have no idea how we got here. You may be an atheist, you may be agnostic, you may be a very religious person, and you may have faith and have the concept of God and how we got here, but we don't have any definitive information to tell us how we got here. We don't, no matter what we want to say. And as such, we can't breathe life into people, no matter how much we come up with all these inventive things. So why would you take someone's life that you can't produce yourself? That makes no sense. And why do you want to be killed? And why would you want to kill someone when you want to live, right? You should enjoy the life while we're here, do your best, and leave the world in a better place. We saw the end of COVID in 2023, at least by the by how things have progressed. We started COVID in early 2020. By the way, I got over COVID in 2020 early, and it was funny because I could see I had no stomach when I had COVID. I lost like 15 pounds in 3 weeks. And I woke up about 4 months ago and realized that I'm having difficulty seeing my toes. So that has to change because I'm not into but I talk about that a little bit, of being unfit. So I have to work on that. But the Israeli-Hamas conflict, which has been happening since the mid-40s when the Palestinians got displaced, very unfortunate, over 21,000 killed. It's difficult what Hamas did and horrible what they did, but it's also horrible to kill 21,000 people and counting, right? So that needs to change. We saw from a socioeconomic standpoint, India surpassed China as the most populated country in the world. And if one didn't notice, but India has exported about 80 million people. The highest compensated people in the US are Indians with over 100,000 average per year, which is great for that segment of the population. And I hope over time that our people will also improve their economic situation and their compensation numbers. As I mentioned, COVID ended. We're seeing the rise of artificial intelligence, or called AI, and it's going to change how we live and operate and how we engage. And my suggestion to our people, because I'm focused a lot of times on our people, is that we learn math and we learn technology and we learn to be involved in those fields. I was watching a program with Leno, who used to run the nighttime show, and he's a car enthusiast. And he was talking about the Cybertruck and the number of people in the Cybertruck talking with him, and they all didn't look like me. And that always distressed me because where the world is going, the people who are going to generate those resources are in those disciplines, and we're not involved. And if you're not involved, you're left behind. So we got to encourage our people to get involved in math and the sciences, and especially in the technological field, because we have a dearth of talent in that field, and that has to change if we want to compete. We saw in the tech industries for the first time laying off a lot of people more recently, and that is changing at the end of 2023, but the world has gone through a very difficult economic time, given COVID, given supply chain issues, and obviously over time, things will change, but that has not been great, actually, for people. We have seen record-breaking global temperatures. Now, we have this dilemma as a people. One is we want to live the lifestyle we're living now, which means fossil fuel, coal, gas. And if you think about it, between the cars and the planes and how we live, we're destroying the planet. And we need to move to more renewable energy and allow the planet to survive. But we have to live today. So that's the calamity, and that's the conundrum, which is I want to enjoy today's life, but to do so, I'm destroying the planet. But we have to make a way of gradually changing to more renewable fuel, because this is not sustainable. And if you don't believe in climate change, then you need to go live on Mars or something, because that's not good. I will touch upon your comments, guys. I will touch upon your comments as I go through my little soliloquy, as I mentioned. And there are a lot more highlights for Road Girl events between that has happened, but these are some of the key ones I want to touch upon. But I'm also focused on Jamaica. So culturally, Jamaica celebrated its 61st independence, And some people say we should not have gotten independent because we are sort of ruining the island. I think you need to have self-determination, and we got to learn to manage ourselves. And we have to learn to be less selfish, because you're selfish if you're doing scamming. You're selfish if you're in politics and you're being corrupted. You're selfish if you're disadvantaged people. You're selfish if you're not focused on helping those around you who need help. You're selfish if you're destroying your country. You're selfish if you're sending guns back to Jamaica and killing one another for no reason other than being selfish. And that selfishness, which is a theme for us, needs to change, actually. Things like cannabis in Jamaica when I was growing up were illegal. I'm not sure why, frankly, because less toxic than cigarettes. But that may get better over time. From a political standpoint and economic and just general world standpoint, there's a lot of discussion around reparation for our ancestors that occurred through slavery, whether it's in the Caribbean or the US. I know the majority in some of those countries are those who benefited from slavery. Keep asking the question, well, how do you compensate people? How much money it is? What does it mean? If we can figure out how to go to the moon, we can figure this out. Our ancestors provided free labor for years upon years, for centuries, frankly, to benefit those who were not like us. And frankly, that they need to provide reparations to uplift those people and those societies which were disadvantaged. And it's clear through our history. And sometimes people make analogies about, well, this happened from the Roman time to the Greek, and through these ages, this happens. There's been nothing like slavery. And I'm glad to see the president of Barbados, the Prime Minister of Guyana, and even some Jamaicans who are talking more intelligently about this and are pushing to have things change, because it's important that it change. Jamaica's tourism rebounded significantly. I hear projection of 2024 probably being the best ever in the country. And I think that's great for the island. But we also need other industries to help the island grow and develop and increase the average compensation in the island. Today, I think the average comp for Jamaicans about $12,000 per year. To me, that doesn't work. That's not, whether you're in Jamaica or not, and you don't have some of the expenses that one incur in more developed countries, that's still not something that helps you progress. So that needs to change in terms of more industries, more highly compensated industries, so the country can grow and develop and people can have better lives. Very, very important, actually. So I'll now transition to sport. And after I'm finished talking about sport, I'll come back to some of the comments, and then I'll take calls and we can talk more about 23 and go into 24. From a sporting standpoint, we saw Australia win the ICC 50 over competition, which was interesting because India dominated throughout the entirety of the tournament except the final game. And I was in India when the event was occurring at one point, and they live and breathe cricket, and people were extremely disappointed. They were pleased with the team, they support the team, but they were disappointed with the final outcome, which was very tough for them. But these things happen. From a FIFA World Cup standpoint, we see where Spain defeated England in the final. And even though Spain had major problem with their federation, they still overcame and won. And I touched upon Jamaica team and I touched upon Jamaica sporting event. But that was a great thing for women's football, got a lot of prominence, got a lot of notoriety, and it was a very well and successful World Cup. As it relates to track and field, the World Track and Field Championship went down pretty well. Jamaica did well. Sha'Carri Richardson won the 100 meters, which we normally dominate for the last number of cycles, and somehow demonstrate that her potential was real and has now become a major force to be reckoned with. But Sharika Jackson won the 200. Antonio Watson won the 400, which was not something that many expected. And Daniel Williams, who was been a good runner for years, but been off form for a while, won the 100-meter hurdles. So that was great for Jamaica and shows that a country of 6 million people, and I know you on the rock think it's only 3 million, it's 6 million plus across the globe. And I consider all the Jamaicans across the globe to be Jamaicans per se, not just those on the island. Did really done well, and the brand continued to improve actually and to increase. From a Champions League standpoint, we saw Man City final win. Scott Pep decided to stop tinkering with his team by defeating Inter. The Nuggets won the NBA championship. Kansas City Chiefs beat the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. Man City won the Premier League. Obviously, both Premier League and Champions League. And the Denver Nuggets, obviously, I mentioned before, won the NBA championship. For Jamaica, my alma mater, KC, won champs. And by the way, I have two alma maters, KC and Rossies, which always, both of them do well in sports over time. Mona this year, more recently, won the Manning Cup. Clarendon College both won the Costa Cup and Olivia Shield. Mount Pleasant won the JPL for the first time, and people in St. Anne's were really happy. The Reggae Girls made the last 16 of the Women's World Cup, which was great, but there's a but. They had major contention issues with the JFF administration before the tournament, during the tournament, subsequent to the tournament. Lon Donaldson, who should be lauded and who exemplifies what it is to mold a team who may be less talented than a number of teams. Again, they beat Brazil, for example, drew with France, and showed their determination, their intestinal fortitude, and they never say die attitude. And yet, most of what we talked about, or as much as what we talked about, was not about the success, but also about the challenge they have with the Federation, which is very unfortunate. And things like that need to change, actually. It's unfortunate. It should be better, but it's not. And that's disappointing. And then that has not been resolved. So we are going to 2024, and this was a summer that we played the World Cup for the women's, and yet we're still having these problems with the JFF. And I say to the JFF, you need to do better, and hope that you do better in 2024. We have a election coming up in early 2024. Hopefully we get that resolved and move forward. So whether it's Raymond Henderson's team or Ricketts' team, whoever wins, you have to do better, get good people around you, because we want to make sure the football is doing and going really well, and that we can enjoy the football without all the drama associated with it. The Reggae boys, and by the way, the girls are not going to the Gold Cup because they got knocked out, because the primary team that went to the World Cup didn't play in the Gold Cup qualifiers. So now we don't have a chance to watch them continue this journey and this upward mobility they've been doing in terms of sports, which is really unfortunate. The Reggae boys are in the semifinal of the Nations League to be played in Dallas against the U.S. Hopefully, many of us can go there and watch the game, because we do want to support the team. I will say, though, that both for the Nations League coming up in March and the Copa America in the summer, I've been looking at prices for those tickets. These people are just money hungry. It's just very frustrating. The prices are prohibitive for a lot of people. It's expensive, even for people in the U.S., frankly. And it's not cool, actually, because people want to go to those games, and they're making the games not digestible for people who want to go, given the price of those tickets. But hopefully we can get a lot of people at the games and be able to cheer around the players. And my final point of that is that Jamaica has 5 players who are regular starters in the Premier League, which is probably the most since I can recall watching Jamaica football, which is a great thing. I want to also give honorable mention to Andre Blake, who is always in nomination for MLS Goalkeeper of the Year. And my final point, people may be surprised me saying this, I want to give a lot of kudos to Leon Bailey, who is doing extremely well for Aston Villa. Had a difficult year last year with injuries and form. His form is being exemplary for Aston Villa this year. So kudos to the player. He's in a number of good categories for a winger in the JPL, the Premier League, not the JPL. I apologize for that. And my hope is that his upward trajectory continues. He continues to play well, and that form translates to Jamaica. So Bailey, great going in 2023, especially the second half of 2023, and much success for 2024. In terms of personal goals for 2023 that I have, bless up Jason Gooner, thanks for joining. I would like more peace in the world. Blacks in general, regardless of where they reside, start operating more with oneness and respect for each other, because we seem to lack respect for each other. Jamaica start realizing its potential and the beauty of the island, and start changing our culture to be, I'm going to point this out, less angry, more understanding, more supportive, more respectful, and more importantly, less selfish. You as an individual should probably pay attention to your eating habits and health, actually. I should say health, including eating habits, and try to work out. Personally, I plan to start working out. I used to work out a lot, but cut back on it. But we're doing so. I have plans for 2024. So as I start my channel, I'll talk a lot about that, but at least 4 times a week. And I plan to continue to eat better. I'm right now a vegetarian. I want to be a vegan at some point. We see that materialize. Also, appreciate your family and work to ensure harmony in the family and help those who are less fortunate than you, whether they're in your family or not. Treat people fairly and treat people how you like to be treated. Well, maybe I wish I shouldn't say that because some people look like they don't like to be treated well, but treat people well, frankly. Here's another point. Fathers, especially the Black fathers, start accepting your responsibilities and being in your kids' lives, not just financially, but in all aspects, including their schooling, emotionally, and their support. And mothers, don't use the kids as a shield and get back at the fathers. Encourage engagement between the fathers and their kids. You don't have to be with someone for the father to be in your lives or vice versa. In fact, the stats have shown that if you think about a married couple, a household led by a father with a single parent household led by fathers and mothers, the single mothers, the stats are the worst in terms of how kids will do, whether it's single parent or multi-parent household. So it's important for fathers to be in the kids' lives. And a lot of Jamaican men like to beat your chest on how much kids you have. And you don't even know some of their names or how they operate or how they live, which is sad, frankly. And we as a people got to become more educated and get involved in the science and technology because it's an imperative that we do. That's where the world is going. And also embrace change because change is constant and change is inevitable. As I mentioned before, the outset discussion, which is I plan to start my own thing next year. So my own YouTube channel, because I have a lot of things I want to talk about. And hopefully you'll be interested in some of the subjects I want to talk about, not just sports. So I'll stop there and I will take your comments. And by the way, I'm gonna give up the phone number if you want to call in, because I know we are almost at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I did set up this number. I had another phone. I got somebody in Jamaica to give me a number. So don't call the number. If you're in Jamaica, I guess you can call the number, but don't call it because you got to come on this phone. If in the US, don't call it directly, call it through WhatsApp. So the number is 658-202-7065. Again, 658-202-7065. I hope it works. It's not my personal number. I just got this number this evening just to make sure that I can take calls. Because as I said before, I'm sitting in for, well, I'm not really sitting in for management tonight. I'm sitting in for Kranky tonight, actually. But management allowed me to use this platform. And it's important that we have an engagement tonight. So please call if you so choose. Again, the number is 658-202-7065. We'd love to hear from you. And tell us what your thoughts are for 23 and what you're looking for 2024. Would be appreciated. We'd love to have the dialogue. Jermaine says, Jermaine says, COVID is still here, sir. It's just that our immune system is getting used to it. No, I agree with that. But it's in terms of the epidemic and the proportionality of it, things have changed. If you look at the CDC here in the US or on a global basis, I'm not saying COVID has left us. No, it hasn't. In fact, there's different strands of it, but it's not like it was before where we shut down the world. The world is now open. So great point you're making. It's still here, but it's not like before. It's not the same level of epidemic. And that's exemplified by China opening up, because China closed down, unlike most societies, has now opened back up because it's not at the same level it was before. And I see we're having some discussion here about the Almighty and things of that nature. I'm gonna stay away from that because I did get myself in trouble when we talk about religion and deity and things of that nature. So I try to manage those conversations. And let me know what you're doing tonight. Actually, I know a lot of people are normally out this time of the year for New Year's. I over the last number of years, I've stopped sort of going out on New Year's Eve. Sort of stay home and celebrate New Year's with the family, get together. I drink water, they may drink champagne, but we give a toast to the new year and make some prognostication or set some goals for the upcoming year. I'm looking forward to 2024, and I expect 2024 to be my best year ever Why do I say that? Because I'm going to work to make sure that's the case, actually. And I think us as people need to give appreciation for what we have and help those who are less fortunate. That's something I sort of focus on. I had something I want to mention, actually. I send someone in Jamaica. I send funds into Jamaica to family all the time. I sent one of my nephews some funds, and I didn't hear from him. I think I sent it about a week and a half ago. So I called him today and I said, did you receive some funding that I sent to XYZ for you? And he said, yes, I got it. I said, really? Because I haven't heard from you. And he said, oh. And I said, yeah, I think when someone sends you something, you should say thanks. I know you didn't ask for it, but I just sent it out of the goodness. So I'm not asking for you to call me and be all excited, just to say, I got it, so I can acknowledge it. And I said, do me a favor, send it back to me. Because obviously I made a mistake sending it to you because you didn't want it. So send it back to me because you don't need it. Because if you needed it, you would have said thanks. So he called me back about half an hour later and he said, oh, I so apologize. I was thinking about say thanks to you, but I forgot. And I smiled because I know he didn't really forget. He didn't think about it. That's not in his thought process. But I said to him, you don't have to send it back to me. That was a test. And I know he didn't do it of his own volition. I know my nephew called him and told him that he should call me to say thanks. Why do I bring that up? Because people sometimes in life lack appreciation for things, right? Doesn't mean you have to, go overextended in doing certain things, but you should just say thanks if something. It's normal courtesy. And I say this when I go to a Jamaican restaurant, I cringe sometimes because people there think that they're doing you a favor when they're serving you. Now you're spending your hard-earned dollars, and they can't even say welcome with a smile. Their face is all made up. They have attitude, and people make jokes about it. Comedians make jokes about this all the time, but it's actually not funny because when you're in that situation, it's distasteful. And you don't want to be there. You may love the food, and it's not the owner, it's the person working for the owner. And they're just rude and obnoxious. And it's not cool, it's not funny. And we think it's a cultural norm that we should get used to. I don't want to get used to it. So sometimes in the environment, I just walk out. I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to deal with you. I have the same attitude you're having, which is, why should I spend my resources in that environment when I'm going to get rude engagement when I try to I'm being cordial, I'm being civil, and my patronage is not being appreciated. That to me is not cool. And it's rude. It's not cool. It seems to be a cultural norm, not just for Jamaicans, but in the Black neighborhood. You go in those environments, and you're just like, here's my view on this. People think they shouldn't be there. Well, if you don't want to be there, don't work there. Let somebody else do the job. But don't be rude to the customer. Could affect the owner's business. People are trying to generate a living for them and their families, and they hire you to provide them a service, and you're rude and obnoxious with your service. And it's not encouraging, and people don't want to come back and engage with that establishment, which is not cool. So what am I focusing in 2023 is that, 2024, is that we need to be more civil with one another, and we need to treat people better. Why would you want to engage me in an indifferent manner when I'm supporting your establishment and you're generating income from my patronage? That seems to be contradictory to me. So I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. It's rude. It's obnoxious. It's not civil. And those things should be discontinued, frankly. And we don't call out those people enough. I've called people out in those environments because I've been like, why would I? I've called somebody out of that. They didn't appreciate it. But I really didn't care because my view is that if you're rude, you should feel what that rudeness feels like, because it's not warranted, actually. We got to be civil to people. We got to be fair to people. We got to respect each other. And the world will be so much a better place. It's so much better to go in a restaurant or an establishment and the person is smiling. They may have a difficult day, so they don't want to smile sometimes. But if they're smiling, you want to engage with them. It takes nothing off you to say thank you. It takes nothing off you to smile. It's nothing off you to just be accommodating. And why would you do so? It is rude to be rude, frankly, and that shouldn't be tolerated. So my hope is that as we move forward in life, and these things become so much more transparent and apparent when you get a little bit more seasoned, I call it. It should be for everyone. We should learn that at home and translate it and live it and execute it when we go out in the world. But those things seem to be lost art actually, and that's not a good thing. So hopefully we can do better. We can do better because You know, when people start smiling and we hear comedian giving joke about this, I sit here thinking it's not funny. I'm not laughing. It's not funny to be rude. So when I come to your restaurant, you're rude to me, you're not getting my money. I'm going someplace else. And I want to spend money in black restaurants. I criticize because we don't understand this. When we spend money outside of our communities, that $1 is just $1. When we spend our communities, that $1 becomes $10, becomes $20. And it's frustrating to me that we don't do a better job of that. So, you know, we have to change, actually. Jason said, I'm just bringing the new year with my wife and kids, safer that way. I agree with you, Jason, even though it's challenging sometimes. Sometimes your home is not even safe. But hey, Jason, hope you have a good time with your family. And as I said before, we all should appreciate our family. And this year, I have some comments for this year, which it should be a year of resolution. So if you have conflicts with people, try to mitigate those conflicts and work with those people to come to amicable agreements. It should be a year of respect. We got to learn to respect each other. It should be a year of trying to support each other and help each other, because you never know when you yourself may need help. And we all need help in some way, shape, or form, whether it's financially, emotionally. And when I'm saying financially, I'm going to start beg people, because I know someone else there. You like to take and like to give. And it should be a year of don't borrow. I'm going to focus on those things. Don't borrow from people, because a lot of people borrow. They don't want to give back. They borrow with a view that you can afford this, I'm not giving back the money. Now, I don't lend unless I know I can afford to lose something. Because I have this view, which I've experienced quite a bit, which is people borrow from you and they have no intention to repay you. And it's frustrating to see those things happen. So my suggestion to you is try not to borrow unless you're going to intend to repay. And if you can't afford to lend, don't lend, because it's only going to cause conflict. So anyway, Seymour, the number is 685. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm transposing the number. 658-202-7065. Again, if you want to call in, wish New Year's greetings. And by the way, you can wish New Year greetings to anyone in the world, because you know these channels are global. Anyone can click on YouTube. You want to wish New Year's, Happy New Year and well wishes to anyone across the globe. Especially if they watch the channel, you can do so. The number is 658-202-7065. And I want to thank my nephew again, since he just walked by here smiling, for getting me this number. So you can call into the number, we can have a conversation, and you can give your well wishes. So it's 658-202-7065. And look, everyone should call in, including you, Claudine, because I see you in the chat. I know you have some discussion about the Almighty and all that. I don't want to have those discussions, by the way. I'm afraid of those discussions. But you can call in to talk about whatever subject you want to talk about, actually. I would welcome you doing so. And by the way, we have 39 people in the chat, and we only have 34 likes, so we should get a like from everyone who's in the chat, because I think we're going to have a good conversation tonight. It's 11:38. We have 22 minutes to 2024. I must admit this, people. I am shocked we are at 2024, because in my mind, 2023 just started. I remember Argentina winning the World Cup in, what was it, December 22? And the year started, and I look around, and we're in 2024. It's amazing, which means time is promised to no one. Time always flies. I tell my families all the time, if you're going to do something, get it done. Do not procrastinate. Do not delay. Because as you turn around, things change. And I want to say to those people who are having a difficult time in life, you know, sit back, take time to think through your problems, think about avenues going to help you get better at whatever you're trying to get better at, and execute. Do not delay. Do not procrastinate. Work hard, and more importantly, work smart. Continue to educate yourself. It's important. Education is the key to me to success. You know, the great thing I love about growing up in Jamaica was this, which is if you're in the States, and things are changing somewhat, but when I first came to the States in the 80s, a long time ago, most people I saw on TV didn't look like me. But when I was in Jamaica, a lot of people I saw on TV looked like me. And when I grew up in Jamaica, what I realized is that, and what I was informed and drilled into me by my great-grandmother, who I grew up with, because I didn't grow up with my parents, was that education is the key to success. I had a great-grandmother who wasn't the most educated person, but two things she taught me. One was you got to focus on education, and two is you got to own property. So she had like 5 kids. She would force them, and they all migrated to England, to send money back from England to her, and she would buy properties in Jamaica. And all of them, including my dad, who wasn't her kid, was her grandson, they all moved back to Jamaica at some point, right? Because nobody really want to live in England. I hope people in England don't hear me saying this. But they all moved back to Jamaica at some point, and they all appreciated it. And if she didn't push them to do so, they wouldn't have done so. So my view to you is this, is that focus on your health, focus on your education, focus on your situation, set yourself goals, and execute your goals. And your goals should be like 5-year, 10-year goals with interim steps where you break those up into annual goals. I'm getting a call in. Good night. Who am I talking to?
Kranky, this is Seymour, aka Vibesman from Queens. You're supposed to know this, man.
Yeah, Vibesman, how you doing? 1 second, Vibesman. Can you guys hear Vibesman? Let me know if you can hear Vibesman, please. Can you guys hear Vibesman in the chat? Just give me a heads up, yes or no. Because I put you on a speaker, Vibesman. So just let me know. I don't know how to run this call thing. First time I'm doing this, so if you're in the chat, let me know. They say they can hear it. Go ahead, Vibesman. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Season greetings, and I was going through my thing and saw you because I'm sitting down at work. I'm not so fortunate, so I'm at work now, ringing in the New Year's. So
okay.
I just say, you know what? Let me call my brethren Kranky to bother him. So first, I want to say, Kranky, we had a very, very good year in terms of the ball.
Okay, agreed.
In reggae ball, right?
Yep.
And I'm disappointed with the continuous beating at the GFF. Yeah, they deserve it, but they gave us a lot. They gave us a lot. They gave us quality players, whatever, and they delivered 2 semifinals. We came 3rd in one, and the worst we can finish in one is 4th, right? Agree?
Yes. And
I do believe we are supposed to start beating ourselves. No, I know we are supposed to start beating ourselves. That is not a belief. That's a fact. And the fact of the matter is, Kranky, we are the worst fans in CONCACAF. So all of the people who are on YouTube, take a look into ourselves. We are the worst fans. And one program especially, IMAX it. They know themselves. There's a pastor always calling IMAX it, and he always says, whatever JFF does is criminal and treasonous. Well, I'm saying no. The fans of the Reggae Boys is criminal and treasonous to want the likes of Mason Greenwood and others to come and play in front of an empty stadium. And that's just the way I feel.
Now, Vibesman, I hear you.
You see, when he was debating management for almost 3 hours, well, he had the courtesy of sending me a message on WhatsApp, so I understand. He said he had us to debate you. and you lost, Kranky, because trust me, the Spanish teams is way better than the lower level English team. I've been watching football.
Vibesman. Let's stop it, Vibesman. Vibesman, we're gonna debate in 2024. No. But let's say this to you, Vibesman. We're gonna debate. I'm gonna debate Management 2024. Subsequent to the debate, you can then make your view as to who won, right? So even though you're convinced now he won, or what the situation is, when you get the facts, let me hear what your points are, your perspective.
But Kranky, that is one of the things I want to say to you too. With black people, I'm not gonna say Jamaican. With black people like to debate belief. It's a big difference between belief and facts, Kranky.
True.
And black people like to debate belief. For instance, Christianity, which is not a culture, it's a religion. They would willing to debate me if I said Jesus is not coming back again. You would have 1 million people want to debate me. And that is not a fact. That's a belief. And people have to understand that. So we can go anywhere we want to go with belief.
True.
Now, if I tell you that Jamaica football team is better than Mexico,
right,
you can debate me on that.
Yes.
If I tell you that Damian Lowe is better, and I'm going to tell you, Kranky, I believe Damian Lowe is better than Ethan Pinnock. I don't expect you to debate me on that, Kranky, because I said I believe.
Right.
So that's for me. That's I believe. And that is what mashing up our football, because people is taking belief and turning it into facts, and then they debate.
Okay.
I don't do that, Kranky, because okay, John Wall, I have respect for him, but he disrespect our, not culture, our history. Because when they're saying we only can get to U20s World Cup by professional, that is not true. It has been done already. So they have to point it out and say, though it has been done already, this is the way forward. If you don't mention our history, you are disrespecting us. Kranky, I see people in these chats saying they don't want to hear anything about 98. How can these young guys say that? What about history? That means you don't want to hear about Bob Marley, you don't want to hear about Marcus Garvey, but you want to hear about Jesus Christ, which is not our history. And we need to stop that.
Yeah, no, look, I do think, Weissman, that sometimes belief, I agree, it's hard to debate belief because it's based on what you believe. But you can use facts to help inform the discussion, right? So if I say Pinnock is better than Low, then one can say, well, why do you believe Pinnock is better than Low? And I can say, here are the facts that substantiate my perspective when I do the comparison between the two players, right? What I want to, and we have to agree upon the criteria we're going to use to then see who comes out ahead. If you don't agree upon the criteria, then it's hard, difficult to do.
Yeah, but somebody don't just get up and jump in the chat and start beating him. Say he's an idiot, because that was his belief, and that is what right. I don't do stuff like.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And say, okay, that's his point of view, and that is what I see going on, Kranky, because it's your belief that you believe that the English team is better than the Spanish team, and your man's man went on for 3 hours over belief. That's all I'm trying to say. That is just a belief. That's just your belief, Kranky, because Kranky, my first World Cup in the Kranky that I watched was, I don't have much memory, but it's 1978 with Ozzy Adiles and Mario Kempes. You know those names? You ever hear about those names?
No, I know those names. That was when Argentina won in 78. Yes. Argentina won, yes.
Yeah, so when I'm talking football, I'm just not talking football with these kids who born in the 2000s and late 90s. Yeah, okay. I'm talking football because not for them, if you ask them who's the best player ever, they would say Messi, right? And I'm going to say Pele. You know why? Because all the things that Messi is doing, Pele has already done it. The overhead kick, the bicycle, this, Pele has already done it, right, Kranky? Fair enough. So I'm not going to debate these things with nobody, Kranky.
All right. So, Weissman, I did say that I'm going to leave this 5 minutes. I appreciate the call. And by the way, people, please use the WhatsApp number, because it's somebody's number in Jamaica and they'll just text me saying, if you stop, blow up them phone. So please use the WhatsApp number. Please use the WhatsApp number. If you call directly to Jamaica, it's going to go directly to somebody's phone. Please use the WhatsApp number. So, Weissman, I do appreciate the call, though. And you're right. It's hard to debate belief, but I still think if you agree upon the criteria to use in your debate, then we can have that dialogue, right?
Yeah, but another day, Kranky is a belief, so nobody's going to win. So it's going to go on forever, and that we need to stop that. Nobody's going to win. When it's a belief, nobody's going to win.
I hear you, Weissman. I hear you.
So I just hope we have a better year. I hope we can take it one step further.
Right.
2024 and win a trophy. It's coming, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know when. I can feel it coming, and I'm a long-time fan of the Reggae Boys. Years.
All right, cool.
And I can feel it coming, Kranky. So you have a wonderful new year.
Yes.
And when you start your platform, trust me, I'm going to be having conversation with you.
All right, Weissman. I appreciate you calling. Thanks a lot. And have a happy new year.
Same to you, sir.
Bless, brother. Thanks. People, again, the number. People, do me a favor, please, because my nephew just came to me and says, why am I blowing up the person's phone? And I told you it's a one-time phone for this evening only, because I wouldn't want to give up my personal number. And it's a Jamaica number. It's 658-202-7065. Please just call through WhatsApp, because if you call from outside Jamaica, you're going to be paying those international fees. If you call from Jamaica, you can call the person's phone directly. So I just got this number for tonight only, because I didn't have a number. I'd have to set one up at some point, especially when I have my own channel. But you can call the number on WhatsApp and we come directly to the phone that I have here in the States. So it's 658-202-7065. Love to hear from you. Thanks for calling, Vibes, man. I appreciate the call and the sentiments and perspective. But yeah, that was Vibes, man. And as he talked about before, history is important in life. And he expressed a concern about us not wanting to reflect on history and the concerns he have about the fact that sometimes I'm going to use my own term, sort of discount history and not giving history the credit it's due or the position it's due. We have some of these conversations, and that belief is hard to debate because it's not necessarily objective. It's much more subjective. So do appreciate those sentiments. We are 10 minutes from 2024, which I still am having difficulty fully grasping, because I can tell you, and maybe sometimes that's good, because when you're really busy, time flies, right? If you have time on your hand, the days go slowly. If you're busy and you're multitasking, doing a ton of things, actually, then a lot of instances, the time just flies and the years just pass and you don't even realize it. And maybe that's a good thing, because you're busy and hope you're doing things which are productive, but also fun. That's important. So again, the number is 658-202-7065. Would love to hear from you. And please call to the WhatsApp. Please don't call the number directly, especially if you're in Jamaica, because it's going to someone's phone, and as they tell me, it's blowing up their phone. But again, thanks for calling when you do, or thanks for being here. You could be someplace else, so appreciate you being here. So what do you guys want to talk about? I see a lot of comments in the chat. Seem like Claudine is cheering a conversation that relates to religion or something in that sphere. I probably say in that hemisphere, frankly. But Claudine, thanks for being here. Lee Young, Real Bala, Mr. United, my nemesis, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Hala Madrid. I assume Hala Madrid is must be a Real Madrid fan. A.M. Henry, as usual, thanks for being here. Who else is in the chat? Stefan Wright, appreciate you being here. As I mentioned before, Manning's man is not here tonight because he's in church with his congregation, and they're going to bring in the new year, celebrating the Almighty and celebrating life. But I appreciate him having me use his platform tonight. As I mentioned before, this was an impromptu get-together, because I was listening to Minzy earlier, and he was talking about just reflecting on 2023 and some perspective for 2024, and decided to just have the discussion tonight. So I appreciate you being here to bring in the new year with us. I'm looking forward to 2024. It's going to be an interesting year, actually, if you think about 2024. You know, all those wars that are occurring needs to come to an end. And the wars are not only in the Middle East and in Europe. You have a lot happening in Africa, with coup happening in a number of countries, people getting displaced, situations being not digestible. So, you know, it's a difficult time for a lot of people, actually. And hopefully things change, because we can't continue on this trajectory where we are. So hopefully things change. But 2024 is going to be interesting. We will have an election in 2024 in the US, which should also be interesting, between Biden, who is very seasoned, extremely seasoned, and with Donald Trump. Give me 1 second, people. Just give me 1 second. I have to do something here. Give me. So 2024 is going to be an interesting year, between the election in the US and all the things that are happening across the globe. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when it comes to that election in the US, because if Trump wins, you know, it's going to be a lot of drama. When Biden wins, we have drama, but it's not the same. Trump wins, it's going to be interesting. Yes, Ray Ball, I played football at Parkside. You know, Ray Ball is funny. Someone came to my home today because of a roof problem, and he was talking about the Arsenal game, and he said, you know, us ballers understand these things. And I haven't been called a baller in a long while, because I stopped playing football a long while ago, but I smiled because I felt good. But yes, I used to play Parkside in the 90s, and I used to play at Boys and High Girls School in the 90s, or down by the place by Flatlanders Avenue. And I used to help run the league also. after my playing days were up, actually. So yes, and I played a lot of football in Brooklyn, actually, and I also played in Van Childs High School in the Bronx at some point. So yeah, fun times, good times is not the same nowadays. We don't play as much football, at least in the West Indian community, as we did back then. We have 5 minutes to 2024, which should be a great year. At least I predict a great year for a lot of people, and I'm hoping that each of you really put the process and structure in place to allow you to have a great year in 2024. Don't let anything derail you from prevailing. Don't let anything distract you from prevailing. Set your goals. Set your goals and execute against your goals. It's very important. I know sometimes we get distracted, sometimes we get frustrated, but don't let anything derail you from achieving your objective. Set your goals and execute against your goals. You'll be amazed how successful you become. And set realistic goals, but also stretch yourself. Don't just set those easy goals you can check the box off. Set goals which are stretch goals and work to achieve those goals. And I'm telling you, you're going to be amazed about how well you do. Whether those goals are financial goals, whether they're goals as it relates to family, whether it's self-development, whether it's health, whatever they are in terms of you and what you want to do with yourself, your family, and your environment, set the goals and work to achieve them. And set multi-year goals and break them up into segments. Multi-year goals have annual elements to it, have quarterly elements to it, have weekly elements to it. And you check them off every single point of those periods and see how well you're doing and gauge how you're doing. It's amazing how things work out well. And people I've seen throughout my life who, especially when in the corporate environment, who set those goals, you'd be amazed at how well they do when they have benchmarks to work against, when they have goals that they set, and when they're working against them. But so I'd love you to do that. And let's come back in 2025 and talk about it and see where we are. I should say, see where you are. 3 minutes to the countdown for 2024. Interesting times. The years are much quicker than they seem to used to be. And maybe when you're seasoned, that's the case. But it'd be good to see 2024 arrive and us all working to make the world a better place to live in. Yes, Real Baller. Real Baller, I would love to know who you are since you remember who I am. And you say you're a real baller, I know that means you're a footballer, I'd assume. So Stefan Wright says also JFF elections. Yes, JFF elections are in 2024, which I can't say I'm overly enthused about, Stefan, right? Because the two main persons running for president, one is a vice president and one is the current president. So all part of the same institution, the same JFF. So how does that make a difference as to who wins? I know one has a manifesto which they've talked to and which they have discussed in generalities with the public about what they're going to be doing going forward. There's nothing in there which is earth-shattering, nothing in there which is overly innovative. Some good things in it, so I don't want to be totally critical. But some things like trying to get a new stadium, how are you going to achieve that? Having an elite group of players, good idea to identify players with certain skill set, bring them in and do well, but it's going to be interesting. We're at 11:59. Would want to raise our glasses as we come to the hour of 2024. First, I want to say it's great celebrating with you the new year. I want to appreciate you being here and appreciate you being part of this platform and hope you continue to do so. As I mentioned, I'll be doing my own thing in 2024, but I'll still be on some of these platforms to talk with you about life and football in general. And would therefore love for you to continue to follow this space, be in this space, be part of these forums, be part of the comment section, call into the numbers, join the streams, and just be part of the engagement and the dialogue. We are now afforded the ability in today's world to have mediums and communication mode that allow us to engage and engage more directly. It's no longer just radio, or some monopoly by a small group of individuals or corporations about how we engage and how we discuss the things of the day. We have various forms to get us information. The information can be sometimes distracting, can be sometimes not be as truthful. So you gotta figure out what your own truth is, or the authenticity and integrity of the person providing the information to you, so you can determine whether or not you want to engage with that person or the environment that they're in. But at the same time, you should always be part of the process, right? I hear some people say they're not going to vote in the U.S. election in 2024. And I actually had that view, especially some things I've seen happen of late. But frankly, you sometimes have to choose the lesser of two evils. So, well, Happy New Year, everyone. It is 12:01. Happy New Year. I'm raising my glass. And by the way, mine is, and make sure it's water. I was given a glass with liquid in it. Just to make sure it's water before I drink it. It is water. I appreciate you being here. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year to my family who's around me. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. And the water is really good. It's cold. It's refreshing. I don't drink champagne. I don't drink wine. I don't drink liquor. So that's why I'm drinking water. But raise your glasses. Happy New Year, babe. Happy New Year, sir. And I see you're drinking something which is red in nature or yellow in nature, whatever it is. Is that champagne?
Apple juice. Apple juice.
It's apple juice. Wow. You've been good because I'm here.
I'm 21 young. I'm 21.
You're 21. Okay, fine. I know you're 21, so it's good. But everyone, thanks. We'll do about half more hour, guys, if you want to stay with me and talk. But you have to engage, actually. Call into the number. It's 658-202-7065. I'll put some perspective in the chat. We can talk before I sign off tonight. But I appreciate you celebrating the new year with me and you being here and us having a conversation. And as I mentioned before, I hope the conversation continues. So yes, Happy New Year to Brownman Security, Amendry. I can't call everybody in the chat, but Ray Bala, Harlem Madrid, Paul Watkins, I should say, Mr. United, Jason, Drew Ross, aka Drew Fortis, Jason Gooner, Lee Young. I'm trying to catch every name here. Ishmael King. Who else here? Stefan Wright. I appreciate you all being here. God bless you. All of you have joined. If you're still not here, still appreciate you being here. Bless everyone. I hear all this noise, this crackers going off in the background in my community. Bless up Trey Moon, David Koch. It's an interesting name, actually. Jarvis Parish. Thanks all you for being here. I'm wishing each of you a prosperous and life-changing 2024. I hope you have a great time with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your partners. Hope everyone just really focus on continuing to improving yourself in 2024, continue to work to do well, continue to be blessed, and continue to support those around you who are less fortunate and help them grow, develop. And if you're a seasoned person like I am, mentor someone. Mentor someone, provide them with guidance, provide them with good insight and good perspective, and help them with their growth and development. Because each person you help just make the world a better place. That's one person who's going to be improved and may do well and help the environment we're operating in. So it's a great thing. Blessed New Year to you, Stefan. Appreciate you being here and hanging out with us tonight. It's a good thing. Happy New Year. It's 2024. So when you sign your date tomorrow, you have to put 1/1/2024 versus 2023. It's a new year. People say it's a new beginning. And hopefully it's a new beginning for you. Some may have had a great 2023 and you want to continue and never end. And some may have had a challenging 2023 and just want a new beginning, new situation in 2024. For each of those persons in those situations, I hope those who have a great 2023 is a continuation in 2024. And if you have a difficult 2023, I hope it gets better in 2024. And my hope, by the way, is from a football standpoint, that the JFF and the Reggae Girls come together resolve their differences, and move the program forward. It is very difficult when you had success, that success be derailed by disagreement, right? You hear me preach quite a bit about my view about the girls and what transpired and how they should have handled the situation. We're in 2024. The JFF, whether it's Speed or Chung or Ricketts or whoever they are, need to engage with the girls, the Bunny Shaws, the Spencers of the world, the Spence of the world, and whoever the representative for the girls are, come together, work through your difficulties, work through your challenges, because you have a common cause and a common thing that you're trying to accomplish, which is to continue to improve the football, set examples for the younger ones who are coming forward, to help the fans support you, because the fans want to support you. Give them something to cheer about, give them something to support you, and let's move forward as a collective in 2024 versus being very divisive and not working as one to achieve what I call more of a common purpose. And also, I'd be remiss if I touch upon this, which is, many of us who are outside Jamaica and love to come back to the country and feel safe, don't feel safe when we come back because of what's happening in the country. My hope is that, and it's just words, frankly, but that this change, that people put on their guns and realize that if you pick up the gun, then you're shortening your life outlook and span. But you're affecting not only yourself, but affect others. So let's try to be less selfish and let's promote goodness, because you have choices between good and evil. Let's promote goodness and let's work to make sure that we're being good. We're trying to be good if we're not good, and we're trying to help others around us. So it's disappointing that an island that's so beautiful and a place that I'm assuming that we all love, that we treat it the way we do, and that's being around the people, because the people make the place doesn't make the people. So let's hope that change. We're in 2024. I hear all this noise going off around me and the celebration going off, and people are happy for a new year. But let's hope the new year bring with it fruitfulness, happiness, and that we all try to work as a collective going forward to do well, to help our fellow man, and to be fair, actually. And my hope is that each of us will do our best to be good. Because, I see a lot of discussion around whether it's religion or God in the forum. But I believe the concept of God is goodness, right? I believe if you're good, eventually things will work out for you. And if you're good, like innately good, or try to be good, or work to be good, things always work out in a positive way at some point, because you're going to think positively. You're going to try to do positive things. So that's my hope, actually, which is you work with people around you, you support goodness around you, you're an opponent of evil, you're an opponent of corruption, and hopefully that will help not only you, but those around you. Rebata says, Happy New Year, Kranky. Can we win without Gray and Boza in March? I'm nervous. It's going to be difficult, actually. It depends if we get any new people in, or new players in, I should say. Gray has been a game changer for us. Even though he struggled at Everton, he came to us and was on the CONCACAF team in the tournament. He's been a linchpin for us. He's played extremely well. He's been one of the better players in CONCACAF. But hopefully, Rebala, that Bailey's form at Aston Villa translates to the national team, and he produces well, and he can, make up some of the challenges and goals and assists that we will lose with Gray being out of the team. Nicholson also found form actually more recently. So hopefully Antonio can make up the differences. So we do have players with the ability to make up for the ones that we have lost actually for the semifinal. But it's going to be difficult. I don't know if there's any new people coming in. And I think one thing we should do in 2024, people, I do think the YouTubers have to reduce the speculation that they have about players, because I think it just creates more noise. It creates more anxiety. It gives information to those who are trying to protect their turf when it comes to players. I think we have to manage that. I know people want to generate news and views, but we have to be cautious about how we do that. And we create all these speculation, and some things are just pure speculation. And even when it seems to come from authentic sources, it's not authentic. So we have to manage that. We all, as fans, want the best players to play. Well, most of us, I should say, to play for the country. We all want certain players with Jamaican roots and lineage to join the team. But I'm not sure we're being helpful sometimes when we do some of the speculation in the public forum. So Mr. United hacks info on new players. I just talking about this, Mr. United, which is I'm gonna reduce doing that, Mr. United, because I do get information sometimes, but until the person get their passport, get your nationality and passport, I think the speculation hurts versus help. I do think the focus has to be on, we can talk about those of nationality or Jamaican lineage, but I don't think we should keep on speculating about those who we think are on the verge of joining or may join or being asked to join, right? I do think it does, on a net basis, I'm not sure it's positive. It's positive in terms of fans are interested, they want to know. But on a net basis, in terms of implications of that information beyond general public, I'm not sure how much it helps, actually. We do have a lot of people in the UK, as everyone knows, who have Jamaican heritage and Jamaican lineage. And if they commit to play for us, we would dearly welcome that, actually. But some of those people have aspirations to play for England, which they should because they were born there, right? And we should knock them if they decide not to play for Jamaica and play for England. Or if they decide later on, you know what, I can't make England team, let me go think about Jamaica. I think we should just go along with the program and let the coach make the decision. If you think the player is good enough to play for the national team, then we welcome it. If they're not, then we go move on. But I think just as important, we have to develop the local talent, right? So Jamaicans are Jamaicans if they have Jamaican citizenship, and that's when we should focus on them. Until the other point, it's all speculation, and sometimes it's not productive. But I do think that the JFF has to spend time, money, intellect to figure out how to improve the footballers in Jamaica. And you can't improve the football, as I've talked about before, without improving the coaches. You can't improve the football without improving the administration. You can't improve the football without improving the facilities. All those things need to come into play. We need to all collectively work together to help in any way we can the football to be better. The more players we have who are capable, the more selection problems give the headache for a coach, which is always a good thing. And my hope is that that's the case. Again, it's 30 minutes after the hour. It's 2024, if you can believe it. It's another year. You're all here in the chat. That means you have lived through another year. You should be thankful. You are blessed. And you should take that blessing and go spread it across the globe, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And I hope that you and your family have a blessed 2024. Expecting 2024 to be my best year. I hope you have the same view for yourself. As I mentioned before, my focus is on, one is to be healthy, two is spend a lot of time in the gym, three is to be productive in the environment I live in, four is to help others who are or more needed than myself, and those who need help as much as I can. And five is, as I mentioned before, one of my goals is to have my own YouTube channel or channels and talk about a number of different topics, bring people in the community who may be judges or attorneys or doctors or plumbers or construction workers who feel that they want to talk about their discipline, what they do, how they do it on these platforms, talk about these things, but also talk a lot about sports and mainly football, whether it's EPL or Jamaica football. Just talk about topics in general where I have interests and have a dialogue with you yourselves, and hopefully you can join me in having those dialogues, actually. Ray Bala says, will your channel discuss politics? I'm hyper political, bro. Yes, I plan to have two channels because you don't want to converge your sports channel with anything politics. So yes, I would try to have two channels. One is more of a social channel, which we talk about a lot of different things, whether it's religion, should be Claudine talk about a lot, which is politics, which is social situation, which is global situations, whatever those are, which is economics, it may be Wall Street, it may be about business, it may be entrepreneurship. Whatever the topics are, I'll make sure I inform myself enough to have a good dialogue with you. And if you're interested, we can talk about all these topics. Whether it's how you self-motivation and self-improvement, whatever those topics are, how you do interviews. Maybe I'll have programs where I have people, I could do mock interviews and you can write resumes. What those are, I want to have those dialogue. I'm going to have more time in 2024 on my hands. So I'll be doing some of those things. Claudine is saying, sorry, Kranky, I'm lazy by nature. The gym will not happen. Claudine, during COVID, I turned my little garage into a little gym, actually. I bought weights, I bought an elliptical machine, and I worked out religiously. And when COVID was subsided, that's when I stopped working out, which is interesting, actually. So during COVID, I was motivated because, you're at home, you want to do some things. But I do think, Claudia, you have to start someplace, right? So here's my suggestion. It's great that we have technology nowadays. You can go download an app or just ask ChatGPT to write you a beginner's program. And you start doing the exercises in your bedroom, frankly. And then you may migrate from the bedroom to the gym. But here's my suggestion to people, which is the best way I think doing this is you take a picture of yourself before you start working out and be religious about how you work out. Then take a picture a month afterwards. And when you see the difference, you'll be motivated to work out. It's amazing how our egos help us to do certain things, right? When I was in the UK, for example, I was there in 2012 to 2014. I used to go to the gym every single day, frankly. I took a picture before. I went to the gym. I took a picture before, went to the gym, met a person there at the gym. They gave you a month worth of personal training. I did it, and he walked me through exercises. I did it after a month, and I said, wow, I like the changes. And I was motivated. And when I came back to the States in 2014, I lost some of that motivation. I got it back during COVID, and now I want to do it again. So, and this time I plan to be, because I have more time in 2024, because work was really busy for me like last year and the year before. So it's difficult to work out when you're working, 10, 12-hour days and you come home tired. But my focus in 2024 is going to be self-improvement, and that's going to be part of it. And by the way, I do intend to add some fitness element to it. So if you see one of my channels, which will be more general channels, where I'm going to the gym, doing some workout, and then doing before and after, you can see what I'm doing. Because right now I feel like I need to do a lot of work in the gym, given where I am physically. So that's going to be part of the whole equation. It's going to be I want it to be a fun channel, a channel which is about self-improvement, self-education, self-development, self-motivation, and one which is going to be about sports. I just talk sports. So, I hear we're talking politics, Jamaican politics, about labor rights. People, I don't really get involved in Jamaican politics, frankly. And here is why, because I do think Jamaican politicians have the best of intention when they go into politics. And when they get in there, they realize, I can't change the system and process. So you know what? I'm going to acquiesce and just do what everybody else is doing, which is not necessarily for the people, but for myself. That's my personal view. I do think a lot of politicians sometimes have the best of intention, but they get co-opted when they go in. They go in and realize, you know what? This system is just not good. And I can't be as effective and change it the way I want to. So they just give in to the system. They give in to the temptations. And that's why I don't necessarily focus on Jamaican politics as much. I think Jamaicans have to change Jamaica wherever they are. And my hope is that people work to do so. It can't be that we all just give up. And when I was growing up in Jamaica, it was much more of a community. Then there was much more togetherness. I'm not sure, it's very funny when you think about these things, which is the more we supposedly become civil, the more we become technology driven, the more we have advanced, is the more we regress, frankly. So we may advance technologically, but we regress as people in terms of our values and how we operate as people, which is kind of sad, actually. You would think that the values would be work in tandem with the progress we have made in terms of healthcare and technology, but it doesn't really work that way. Somehow we regress in some areas and progress in some areas. So Claudine says Jamaican politics have good intention. Yes, Claudine. I don't think, Claudine, a lot of people go into politics, whether it's Jamaica or otherwise, with good intentions. But when they get there, they realize that this system is so broken, I can't fix it. So they adapt to a bad environment, frankly. I think they do. Mr. United said, Claudine, to be honest, the gym is a better place than the church. Some people in Africa close a factory and build a church, then complain about jobs. So United always have interesting takes. The religion thing is an interesting one. I think religion is good for people in the concept of it's preaching goodness. It's providing you with a view of being helpful. But religion has its challenges, right? Slavery was one where religion, you think about the Catholic Church and all those were involved in human beings being subjugated to the most inhumane treatment. So, one has to be thoughtful about these things, right? Nothing wrong with religion, some of the things that it espouses and what he wants to do. The elements of it, though, which you look back at history, you just shake your head and say, how could we even get here? And is it being used as a tool to manipulate people and manage them versus a tool for good? So we'll have some of the discussion also on my channel. We talk about those religion and the existence of God. I'm a big fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is a scientist and very informed person who talks about a lot of these topics. And I find his discussion interesting. I will say that when it comes to religion and deity and all that, no one has a monopoly on that. I know people who are a certain church and denomination think they're right and everyone else is wrong. If you have that view, then I'm not sure you are as religious as you think you are, or the thought process is what it should be. Because if you think about it, until the Europeans came to the West, or came to this part of the world, we had the Arawaks, we had the Tainos, we had the Incas, we had all those people who celebrated their own concept of what God looks like, right? Everyone thinks there's an omnipotent being. That's how we got here. But the being they celebrate and supported and worship weren't the same being that, at least doesn't appear to be the same being as other parts of the world, whether it's Muhammad with, some religion, or whether it's Christianity with Jesus. Everybody seems to have their own view. The common denominator is that the people think there's a deity out there, omnipotent being. The question is there a right or wrong when it comes to that? Actually. And then there's people who are atheists who believe that the world just came together from nothing, which is actually hard to conceive. It's all hard to conceive, whether it's the concept of God or the concept of we had a black hole and the black hole just opened up. Where did the black hole came from? What no one has been able to tell me yet is where these things originate. So if you say it's God, then did God come from something, or just God was all there? And if it wasn't, if it was just that we had a black hole which just collided and we created this world, where did the black hole come from? Because the way we are taught to think is that something originated from something else. But frankly, what does that mean? I have no idea. I'm not an expert in this field, but I'd love to have the dialogue. So we have these. So the crowd didn't say Kranky. I really grew up in Jamaica. I've yet to meet one of these politicians except for Michael Manley, who was privileged to have met in our review as a young girl. Well, there are other people out there like Michael Manley, Claudine. You just probably haven't met them. And even Manley made some really bad mistakes, actually. And I'm going to have some of those dialogue going forward about people like Manley and what Manley did wrong and what Manley did right, because I think Manley had a lot of goodness in him. But I think Manley educated in England with a bunch of people in the Caribbean who educated him and came back to run their countries. I think probably maybe the Forbes Burnham of the world, a lot of those guys who were what I call educated elites, but they actually weren't sophisticated enough to realize that when they made certain decisions about life and about direction of travel and being communist or socialist, that there's an elephant in the room who's basically going to control how you make those decisions. They weren't smart enough when they made some of the decisions, and it cost Jamaica. We didn't have 1980 bloodbath because we had 80 bloodbath because you know what? It was the communists against the capitalists, and Jamaica got caught in the middle, and we paid for it dearly, and things have not been the same since. both groups flood the island with guns. Because when I was growing up in Jamaica, there were no guns. I mean, back in the days, I mean, if a person get killed in Hanover, it was a big deal. Or if they get killed in Kingston, it was in certain neighborhoods. It wasn't spread throughout the entirety of St. Andrew and Kingston. So things have changed materially, and they have gone only in one direction, which is worse. It's not a good thing. Mr. United says, Kranky, religion was designed to separate and control people. Mr. United, I'm not going to debate that tonight, but I'm not going to say I disagree with you, by the way. Because when you're told it's better to go to the eye of a needle than go get to the kingdom of God, and then the people are saying it are rich, it's kind of hard to digest, to be frank. It's hard to digest. Claudine says, Michael, compared to the rest of, is a man before time. Kranky, Michael was not communist. Hey, Claudine, you can define what a communist is, but I think Michael had a lot of influence from Cuba. Castro was a communist. I think you can say Michael was a socialist, but Michael took the country in a certain direction, which I'm not saying was a wrong direction to go in, but it wasn't what I call a managed direction. So, yeah. Ray Boss, Kranky, I'm a big capitalist who grew up in the States but loved Michael Manley. Yeah, I think Manley had a vision for Jamaica and seemed to have been a good person, but I think he was naive in certain respects. And you know what? When I start my channel, we'll talk more about that, actually. I thought he was naive in certain respects, quite a bit. Cygnus Media, thanks a lot for the super chat. Appreciate it. He's saying, Kranky and everyone in the comment section, thank you for your many positive contributions to our Jamaica football in 23. Cygnus, we appreciate that. I think we all want the football to be better. I will give the JFS some kudos and some credit, actually. I do think that they have engaged the public much more in 23 than they have in the past. I think many of the YouTubers, whether it's IMAX, whether it's Military Gooner, whether it's this program, I Am Sure Sports, whether it's Coach's Desk, whether it's Eddie Gooner is now coming on board. There are a lot of these programs who have done a lot to bring more transparency to the football, to educate and inform, and to get the JFF out to be more transparent. So I think that's a really good thing. It's really appreciated. And not every federation, a lot of federations don't do this. So the JFF should give me some kudos on this. And we hope long may it continue. And frankly, the YouTubers keep the football relevant and keep it alive. On these programs, there's much more discussion about football. Sometimes it's not the best, frankly, in terms of what's talked about, the topics and or how people engage. But I think a lot of it is well-intended and help a lot in promoting the football, promoting the players, both the reggae girls and the reggae boys, and help in trying to bring the football and keep the football alive, frankly, much more so than the traditional media. And I think this also brings up things where traditional media areas they don't touch, which YouTubers do. So kudos to the YouTubers, and long may it continue. Reedy said, no, Kranky, Castro was great for Jamaica and the world. Reedy, I mean, look, a lot of these things are debatable, right? I think Castro helped a lot where blacks were being disenfranchised. And for example, think about South Africa way back before they got the independence, and how Castro's people support them with people and resources. But Castro is also a dictator. And you have to think about a contradiction, which is you're saying he's a good dictator. Are there such things? These things can be asked, right? If you want people to have freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of movement, then how are you going to dictate to them how they can speak, move, and engage, right? So I think it's an oxymoron about a benevolent dictator, or it's a contradiction of a benevolent dictator. Now, maybe it's the case, but at some point, those things contradict. So it makes it interesting. It said, Ever Siaga never win an election in Jamaica. The U.S. gave him 1980 PNP didn't. So we go into this whole thing about PNP. They have right. Here's my view on this, people. I don't think either of them are good. This is going to sound really bad me saying this, but I don't think the PNP or the JLP are good. I think you can't have a oligopoly. It's even more of a non-monopoly. It's almost like a monopoly, but it's not one party, it's two. in any situation, whether it's a company in the corporate environment or in politics. You have an oligopoly, which is two parties, and you have no real choice because they all seem to be the same. When they had the raise in Jamaica, when they gave themselves this huge raise in Jamaica, I didn't hear the PNP complaining vigorously until people start complaining in the general public. Then they made their comments. Give me 1 second, people. Just give me 1 second. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear this outroar by the PNP about the raise they were getting because they were getting the raise. It's really interesting, you know. They only came out after a little while when the public start expressing their discontent, and then you hear the opposition leader start making certain comments, going to donate part of his money to some organizations, but most of them didn't donate their money. And after a while, they realize this, that people have lives. So when they do these egregious things, they know there's only going to be in the public view for a certain period of time. We'll get upset. You only see about 2 people marching, you know. It wasn't this big uproar and marching because people realize that politicians are not the ones that's going to change your lives. They have to change their lives themselves or figure it out in the private sector. It's not about politicians. You guys give too much credence to politicians and too much focus on politicians. Unless the laws are so restrictive to endanger or affect your life materially, you should not engage with them because a lot of times they're not doing good. I hate to say that. They're not doing good. In Jamaica, we're so divisive. People in Jamaica don't change parties, which is amazing. This is not like the US, you know, when one party is just to the right and not supporting diversity and not supporting people who are of a different persuasion, and one which probably use us, frankly, but is blessed of two evil. In Jamaica, both parties are in for themselves. And there needs to be a third alternative, but they're so institutionalized, there are no third alternative. And so I get frustrated. People in Jamaica talk about I'm a laborer and a PNP. I'm going to use the Jamaican language. What am I doing for you? If they give some bread and cornmeal when they want your vote and then disappear when they have your vote. And especially those people who live in those challenged neighborhoods, whether it's Tivoli or Rima or Trenchtown or all those places. What do those politicians do for you? Are they helping you reduce crime? Are they getting guns out your neighborhood? Are they getting rid of those dons in your neighborhood who create mayhem? Like, how are they doing for you? How does that help you? Think bigger. There should be self-improvement that you're focused on. But let politicians manipulate you. Don't talk about no PNP and no labor right. They're not helping you. I'm sorry. And through my entire life, and this life is getting shorter for me as time progresses, I get frustrated with the PNP, JLP argument. Both of them not good. I hate to say it, but both of them not good. I'm sorry, they're not. They're not helping you. They are for themselves. Some go in with the best of intention, and they stay in there forever, and they love the power, and they're not helping the general people. A lot of people in Jamaica need help just in terms of infrastructure and industries to help people get a good job, have a good house, a nice house to live in, be able to have transportation, have clothes, feed their family, the basics of life. And it's not happening. But I'm telling you, when I have my channel in 2024, I'm talking about a lot of these things in more depth, more in-depth, because they need to be talked about. Travis is saying, Kranky, we don't need no politician to nothing for me. I work, bro. No, I agree, Travis. You know, we can have football disagreement. When it comes to more social aspects of life, I'm sorry, not buying the politician. Don't let politicians manipulate you, and don't request anything from them. I know in Jamaica they control sometimes giving out jobs, them temporary jobs, especially construction jobs when they have major works. But figure out things for yourself. Don't let them manipulate you because they're not helping you. Most of them are no, a lot of them are not good. I shouldn't say most of them because I can't make a general statement like that. A lot of them are not in the best interest of the people. They're best interest of themselves, which is really sad, actually. Well, I said, both of them are teeth, but my teeth is better than your teeth. Look, I will agree in the US, for example, the Democrats and Republican, it's choosing the list of two evil. I'll give you some example. You know what? I'm not going to get into the examples tonight. I'm going to save that for a later day. I'm starting my channel after, I told you I'm making some changes in my personal life. So when I have more flexibility to speak more freely, when I leave the corporate environment, I'm going to have those conversations. But tonight, it's about goodness. It's about a Happy New Year. By the way, everyone, I must say we have 48 people in the chat and we have 53 likes. So people have come and gone. And I appreciate you hitting the like button. I appreciate you being here It is 12:35. You're still here with me. We could talk all night, frankly. And I'm going to work tomorrow, so that's why I'm here. Most time, I can tell you this, 10 o'clock I'm in bed because I get about 4:30 to go to work. But I decided tonight I don't want to have a conversation with you because I really want to thank many of the commenters for being here. Some of the same people, Richard Green, Mr. United, I see Joe Grinder, Travis Grind. So Travis, you must have gone out someplace to enjoy your new year and then come back home to relax because I know you joined a little bit late, but we appreciate you being here. I'll mention the name again. Hey, Ian, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining. I appreciate what you're doing in the work that you do for the Reggae Boys. It's welcome. We need it. Continue doing the good work. Reedy, thanks for being here. As usual, Real Baller. So Real Baller, were you a footballer? Because some people call themselves baller and a real baller. And then the baller, it was like the football. So let me know if you're a footballer. And thank Claudine for being here. And Claudine is having these robust discussions tonight about a number of different things. She's informed about various subjects, including religion and the politics we're just talking about. Ian says, but the current administration is worse based on my experience. Which administration, Ian? Political organization or JFF? It's been the same JFF for the last number of years. So it must be talking about political organization. And my view is there's no worse between PNP and JLP. It's what I might see. They're from the same cloth. They manipulate the general population, take advantage of those who are less fortunate, get in power and forget them and live the life they want to live, abuse their authority and move forward. So not buying them. Blessings, Reedy. Happy New Year. Appreciate you being here. I know it's late. Happy New Year, Kevin. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys joining tonight and being here with me. And I did give out a number, guys, you want to call in. So the number is, and by the way, if you're going to call this number, I've had one call tonight from Vibesman. If you're going to call the number, it's 658-202-7065. It is a temporary number. It was only for this evening. It's a WhatsApp number, so don't call it straight from Jamaica. It's a WhatsApp number. So if you want to call me and have a conversation, wish people happy New Year, it'd be appreciated. Mr. United says, I love my mother too much to support the JLP. He said JPL, but I know he meant maybe it should be JPL as a new party. My mother got married and she had problem with the green background on the wedding picture. That's the point, Mr. United, which is we are so ingrained in a political party, we sometimes can't pull ourselves back and say, you know what are they doing for me? Claudia said, Kranky don't know which is worse, JFF or Jamaica politicians. I think Jamaica politicians is worse. Why do I say that? Because football is entertainment. You know, the politicians affect your life, whether it's crime, whether it's resources, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's how you operate day to day, whether it's laws that they put in place, whether it's how they operate. It affects your everything about your day. You can ignore football if you want, but you can't ignore life in Jamaica, given what the politicians how they can affect your daily life. So I'm going to say politicians it's more challenging. Yeah. Ian says, yes, currently the current is worse. I've been in government for most of my working life. But I'm not sure there's a worse, Ian, because I remember when Siaga was in power and how Siaga is really lauded and appreciated by especially people in Tivoli, which he supported. Yes, he may support the community, but some of those politicians before, if you look at their history and what they've done, they do more worse than good. Seriously. They're not about the country's development, the country's growth, the collective growth. They're about themselves and how they can increase their portfolio and their resources. And they should be having a larger purpose, which is how to bring along everyone, no matter what their party affiliation. Parties are divisive. They're not bringing you together. They're dividing you so they can win and then do what they want to do. The people in Jamaica should ignore those parties, as far as I'm concerned, and try to bring the country forward, reduce the crime, help yourself, develop yourself, grow yourself. Stop focusing on things you can't control and focus on what you can control. You cannot determine the political determination or direction of travel unless you vote for these people who then are not supporting you. And when people are in your district who vote for you, you vote for, and then they
You don't see them for 3.5 years, and when they come back half a year to get your vote, they give you some handout and you vote for them. That's just sad, frankly. So I'm not supportive. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. My hope is that people realize, and in the US, the same thing. People say, Bill Clinton, for example, in the 90s, who the African Americans praise, he put more black people in jail based on his policy than everybody in the history of mankind, right? So if you look at people's records subsequent to their terms and you bifurcate those records and you really read through what they have accomplished or done, you'd be surprised, frankly. What you see on the surface, sometimes not reality. So that's my concern, actually. My hope is that as a people, we focus on self-improvement and self-development versus on these politicians who are very selfish, as far as I'm concerned. Big Diddy says, Travis, no Mason Greenwood. Interesting. I'm only going to talk about these people when they join us, actually, because we keep speculating. I would say this, though, about any player who choose not to play for us. We wish you the best. We wish you the best. We hope you're successful in whatever you do. If you're good enough, you choose to play for us, we welcome you. If you don't, it's all love. No one is hating on you. We want you to do well, you and your family, and we wish you the best going forward. And if you decide to come and play for us subsequent to making that decision, and you're good enough, you're welcome. So, Ian Cam is saying, Travis, this would be a great year for Jamaican football, namely the senior men's team and the under-20s. And Ian, I believe that the football is on an upward trajectory, actually. If you look at the men's team, that Canada victory was huge because it got us into two competitions, both the Nations League semifinal and the Copa America tournament, which is great for us. We're playing some of the better teams in the world. My hope is to put together the strongest team, especially for Copa America, to compete against the Ecuadors and the Mexico and the Venezuela. That's a hope that I have, actually. And for the under-20s, we hope we can put together a very good team to qualify and do well. So, and also we hope in 2024, the JFF gets its act together and move us forward in a positive direction. Richard Green said, Kranky, Happy New Year. Do you buy the explanation for the pay increase by the JLP? Yes and no. What do I mean by that? Because it seems like I'm on the fence. I do think, when I look at the compensation for public servants in the Caribbean, it's not good, period. And you can't get any person who went to university for 4 years and then probably get a master's or getting a doctorate, what do they do to work for that kind of money? It's just not good. Let's be honest. I watch what the mayors make, what some of the councillors make, what some of the people in the executive branch make, and I walk away saying, I'm sorry, but I don't know how you keep talent where they can make 10 times or 20 times that in public-private industry. So if you want the best people, then you have to compensate them. But having said that, you don't go into government to make money. You should get a fair compensation, but you're not there to make money. You got to be competitive, but you can't compete with the private sector, right? Because you're afforded certain privileges and benefits and perks when you're a government employee versus the private sector. So do I buy the increase? I think it was done poorly. I think it should have been done gradually. So you could say, you know what? Over the next 10 years, I try to have a certain goal to achieve in terms of compensation, but I break it up into annually to do it and figure out a way to do it versus what they did, which is one big increase for a bunch of people in certain positions. And it's not digestible. What he did wasn't smart. The rationale he gave, I'm not sure it was the worst rationale. The way it was done was poor. So you can have a strategy to do something, but the execution was awful. The strategy was awful. The strategy wasn't awful. It's the right strategy. The execution was awful. Right? So you can't have people not making a good compensation when they have alternatives. It's like you asked me to play for Arnett Gardens and make $100 a week when Mount Pleasant paying $500 and Mount Pleasant want me. That doesn't make sense. I know I can get a job at Mount Pleasant. But at the same time, I can't increase your comp from 100 to 500 in the public sector when there are people out in society suffering and working in government who are not getting increases that are equivalent. So there's a better way to do these things, and it wasn't done well. It wasn't received well, but people move on with their lives, right? Because they have no choice. That's why I'm not big on politicians, frankly. not big on politicians because they sometimes just make poor decisions and they sometimes are not accountable. And the only way you can get them out is if you vote them out. And sometimes that's even, I wouldn't call it rigged, but it doesn't give you the best options, right? It's less of two evil. So, yeah. Not sure that's the best thing. Let me see what else is here in the chat. Someone is saying, so we're talking about politics and social and sports all in one combined discussion tonight. And I'm not sleepy, so I'm going to keep on talking till I feel sleepy. So you may not necessarily stay with me tonight. And what's interesting, we have more people in chat now than we had before, which is also interesting, actually. So it's increased as the night progressed. People may be coming in from their New Year celebration. Rebala said, Kranky, if Russians doesn't show this time, should we finally forget about this kid? No, Rebala, I think we should allow the kid some space to make his decision. But frankly, if we have all the players that we have now, Hutchinson doesn't make the team. He may not even make the squad, to be frank. So the kid needs time. Right now, he's not even starting regularly because I watched him come off the bench the other day. I don't know if he's starting regularly. I don't watch him a ton. He's a good player. He has good pedigree, but he may also need time to get himself together and get his act together. So I don't think we should rush any player or push any player. I think the coach should talk to them and give them options. You can come play for us, or if you don't, we wish you good luck and hope you do well. That's the way I view it. But I don't think we should track them and keep them in our thoughts, especially if they're exceptional. Like Greenwood is an exceptional talent, right? Hutchins is a good talent. Greenwood is accomplished talent, exceptional talent. If he decide not to come now, he's going through some personal challenges, right? And he's had some tough setbacks given what transpired with him. Give him some breathing space. Ask him to come. If you say, right, I'm not ready, just say, Greenwood, when you're ready, let us know. And move on. So, yeah. I don't think we should overly pressure these kids. And most of them are young kids, actually. So, interesting. Trevor says, Mason Green wasn't coming for National League for my knowledge. It was for the World Cup qualifiers. Yeah, we don't know. I hear a lot about this. I got from different sources. Some sources which are good, but I must admit, I will not put something out there until I have what I call all the facts. And maybe I have to get it from Greenwood himself because I don't engage with Greenwood. But hopefully he decided to join us and he can help us with the World Cup. But the most important thing, even though Nations League is important and Copa America is important, is World Cup qualification. That's, as we can see from the women's team qualified for 2 World Cups, the branding, the notoriety, the profile, the prominence for World Cup is unmatched. So, yeah, that's what we should focus on. Ian is saying, contingent on February window, Jamaica's under-20 squad for the June 2024 will be the strongest Jamaica team ever assembled, pound for pound. So Ian has some inside knowledge. I'm sure he's thinking about players who are probably getting their nationality or getting that done. Ian, hopefully that's the case because under-20 translate to the senior team. Excuse me. And frankly, I'm not sure what's happening to me. I need to drink some water. And frankly, some of those players in the under-20 may transition to the World Cup, the senior team, frankly. If I'm sure some are probably would be good enough in time for qualification. So it would be a good thing to assemble the best under-20 squad with the view of matriculating some of those players to the senior team at some point, hopefully in the next year or two. Because as I've said before in another program, you know, people like Pinnock and Antonio are getting seasoned, right? They're over 30. They may not be around for the World Cup, which is 3 years from now. So at the end of the day, we need to bring in some new talent, right? The Cameron Archers of the world, the Mason Greenwoods of the world. Those talents are people who I think if they aspire to play for us or want to play for us, we should pursue because I think they can help with the program. And by the way, people, at some point, we should have some talent also coming through the US and Canada. A lot of times we're pursuing this in the UK, but my hope is that we'll have more talent coming through the UK, the Canada, and the US won't play for Jamaica. You know, I was communicating with a former colleague of mine whose son is going to be at, I think it's Villarreal. He's 12 years old, going on 13. I was asking him if he intended to play for Jamaica, and he said his son would for his father's sake. And I know that the fathers had communication with Freddie Butler. So that's a good thing, actually, to see some of these kids now who are coming through the pike, who are second generation Jamaican in the US, who have aspirations to play for Jamaica. And it would be great if they can have the ability to do so and become part of the national program. So hopefully that's the case. A lot of people here are saying the true culture is saying Greenwood fit very well in Jamaica attacking midfield. True culture, I tell you this, Greenwood fit a lot in fit a ton or great in any team. He could get into this England team because, frankly, I think Greenwood has the ability of Saka, or even better than Saka, frankly. In fact, I think Greenwood, I would say this, I think Greenwood's a better player than Saka, even though Arsenal fans will lose their mind me saying that. I think he would get into the England team right now if he get his game to where his game was before. I think he has what I call more Foden ability than, I think Foden to me is a better player than Saka, even though a lot of people are, Saka's a very, very good player, but I think the Foden, the Sakas, the Greenwood are on similar level. And if we can get Greenwood, which is a big if, it would be a great thing. So, but we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. I think we need to give the kid some space, though. The coach should talk to him, but give him some space to make him make his decisions. Big deal is talking about Sims. Sims was at Everton, wasn't he? Didn't work out too well. Went on to the championship. I think we got to think Premier League first, and then everything else. There may be players in the championship who have Premier League pedigree or Premier League ability. We see Antonio come to the championship. A lot of players. We see Ivan Toney come to the championship. We see Ollie Watkins. And Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney came from League One to then go to championship, then go to Premier League. So there's a lot of talent there. Some people blossom later than others. There's a lot of talent there. And hopefully we can leverage some of that talent. What we need to do is identify the talent early. Look at the potential, bring them in, because they're more accessible in the championship than in Premier League, even though we should focus on Premier League. But we should try to pick out those people we think have exceptional ability but playing in the championship, who are really young, who we can convert early, and who we think can be part of the program for 10, 15 years. That's what we should be doing. That'd be a good strategy from where I sit. Yeah, he's saying we have some good players in the USA. I think we do. The question is, are they Jamaican citizens? And if they're not, do we get Jamaican nationality? And then how do we bring them into the team? I love this question. I'm not, Richard, what am my 2024 objective and goal and something I'm focused on is to be a little less critical of the footballers, even though I'm still going to criticize them if I think I deserve it. But also to be very careful about my comments about Bailey, because people are thinking my Bailey comments personal. And my comments are never personal. Who's better, Bailey or Saka? I think Saka performance in Premier League suggests that he's ahead of Bailey. I think Bailey has been better this year than Saka, even though his stats are not better than Saka's, frankly. Saka has great stats, but he hasn't played well. Bailey has very good stats. Some people can say great stats this year, but he has played well, especially in the last month and a half. So if you go on current form, I think he's ahead of Saka. If you go on overall ability and where they are and what they have done in their history in the Premier League, Bailey did well in Germany, and Saka is ahead. But I think Bailey's more dynamic, actually. Saka can't beat anybody. He's a very good decision maker. He makes very good decisions, but he doesn't have a right foot. He doesn't beat his man really well. And his game is getting more and more found out, even though his stats are great. I think he has about 2 or so penalties in his stats. And he scored today, even though it was a tapping goal. But he hasn't played well. But you look at his stats, you would never know that. Real Father says, Bailey's better. I'm a proud hypocrite. I don't think it's a hypocrite that you are, Real Baller. I think you just have a parochial view. He said Bailey has less minutes. Yeah, he has less minutes. He wasn't starting at the beginning of the season. Diaby was starting. I know it was the last game Emery played both Diaby and played Bailey in the same team. So I think is what he should do. He probably should play a 4-3-3 versus this hybrid formation that he has. But Bailey has been playing well. Bailey's playing well. So I give credit where credit is due. At least I try to. And he's playing well, so he should be commended, right? That's all we should say about that. My hope is that in 2024, his form translates to the national team. Ian is saying, Kranky, they are Jamaican citizens except for one who's presently in the process of applying for his citizenship. For the under 20, Ian, or in the national team? That's what I'll ask him. Is it under 20 or the national team? Or both, frankly. Because I know a lot of kids, if you think about Jamaica migrating to the U.S., between the 70s and now, that's what, 50 years, frankly? So we should probably be on the third generation, not into the second generation. The migration has improved significantly since the 80s, when it was much easier to come here. Now it's getting harder, but we have a lot of Jamaicans in the U.S. who love football and whose kids play football, especially in the female settings, actually. You'd be amazed how many females of Jamaican heritage play football here. I think even more so than the men, in terms of getting to college and things of that nature. So my hope is that we'll see a combination of male and females going to the Jamaican national team who aspire to play for Jamaica. Ian saying under 20s. Okay, I would figure as much. Yeah, I would assume that there are quite a bit of them, Ian. And Jamaicans are very proud people. A lot of them want their kids to play for Jamaica, not necessarily for another country, even though they may be living in that country. So it's a good thing. What's big deal saying? What's this big deal, Ian? Tell your friend them say, you know, butter or bet. I'm not sure I understand that. Big deal. Chuka said, do you think Bailey would fit into the Arsenal Man City system? That's a good question, actually. I don't think he's necessarily a systems player. I think he's just a good footballer with a lot of skill. He has a lot of skills, right? But sometimes those skills gets him in trouble because decision making is not what it needs to be sometimes. But I think he has a lot of ability. He has good control. He can shoot with either foot, mainly a left footer. He can go by players. He can create mismatches one-on-one. But City is a real system. City and Arsenal play similar football because it's Pep football, frankly. Arteta just copy it. But they force their wingers not to take as much risk as they should, even though Doku and Grealish sort of destroy that notion the way they play. And that's why Grealish get benched sometimes nowadays, because Doku is going by his man while Grealish slows the play down. Saka and Martinelli play wide. They're both off form, but they don't really rinse their man, which in football today, if you're a winger, you have to rinse your man or go by your man so you create mismatches where your defense have to come over and try to get the ball off you so you then have options. They don't do enough of that. That's why Arsenal is struggling, because we're not getting those mismatches. And without Partey playing in the middle, who can dip his shoulder, go upfield and penetrate the lines with his passes, because Rice doesn't do that, that's why we're struggling. So, no, but I think Bailey, the way Bailey's playing, I think he's increasing his market value every single day, frankly. He's playing really well. Reba said, if only that Ian Frey kid could stay LT. I'm not really familiar with Ian Frey, actually, so you got to educate me on that, Rebala. Happy New Year, Devon. Thanks for joining us. It's past your bedtime, Devon. What are you doing up at 1 o'clock in the morning? No, this show was supposed to be for 1 hour. We're now almost 2 hours in, and I'm not sleepy, so I'm going to keep talking. But Devon, thanks for joining. I respect you being here. I know it's past your bedtime. I'm sure you were out. Happy New Year, Devon. Hopefully 2024 is a great year for you and your family. But Happy New Year, and thanks for joining. Glad you could join us. It's 12:59, almost 1 p.m. I'm going to stay as long as you guys want me to stay, or until I get sleepy, one of the two. But it's interesting that I hear a lot of optimism for the football, which is great, actually. So what I would like the footballing public to do is support the team in all ways, shape, and form, including going to games physically. There is no excuse in Jamaica I don't want to hear the price thing for not going to games. It's really disgraceful and shameful that we don't have more attendance at games. I could understand if you tell me the games in Dallas, for example, at Nations League or Copa America, Kranky, them too expensive. I can understand that argument because they're expensive and it's only getting worse. I don't buy the Jamaica situation where the prices are not prohibitive. I know it may seem like Kranky is that expensive for you because you're someplace else, but I look at those prices and I see you guys going to Chris Brown concert, which is more expensive. It's not as expensive as some people are alluding to, and you guys can go to the game. You got to support the team. Ian, the calling number is 685-202-7065, but you got to call the WhatsApp. Go through WhatsApp. Don't call the number directly. Because them see a Jamaican film number, somebody number borrow, and they're complaining that they're getting calls. I'm not sure who was calling them directly, so call the WhatsApp. Call to WhatsApp, 658-202-7065 if you want to send New Year's greetings to anyone while we're still on today. That's the number. I see me checking my phone again to make sure I'm not using the wrong number, but I set up a new phone and I got this number tonight just for this session tonight. So I know Vibesman calling. We only got one call tonight, actually, by the way. And we have about 55 people on the chat. So not sure people are shy, don't want to talk, but you can call in. We can have a conversation. But the calling number is 658-202-7065. But you have to call through WhatsApp. That's the only means of calling in, frankly. Oh, Frey in Miami, yes. I think he's a CDM, isn't he? Yeah, let me just pull this up here about it. Yes. I didn't know he was injured, but I know he's young, and I know he's a CDM, and I know there's been discussion about him, but he hasn't been in the national team to date. So hopefully they can get him into the team and he can produce and play well. Because it's important we get some midfielders, because frankly, the midfield has been challenged. Richard is saying, Kranky, what can we do to improve the JPL? Because I think that a good JPL is good for Jamaica in many ways. Richard, I totally agree. There's only way you can improve the you said JPL. You have to look, the football, the infrastructure needs to improve. What do I mean by infrastructure? Meaning the totality of Jamaica football, the JFF, the facilities, the players, the coaches, the administration for the teams. Because let's think about it this way. If you don't have good coaches, you can't produce good players. If they have good playing services, you can't see the best football. If you don't have good administrators to manage or oversee the coaching, the players, the structure, if you don't have good administration to get you good sponsors, that the business community trusts to get involved, it's hard if you don't have resources to invest to allow this to happen. So they're all intertwined. You can have tactical strategy about players and about coaches, or you can have a strategic approach with different elements that informs it to allow this to happen. So my hope is that whatever administration wins, and you hear the manifesto for the Raymond Anderson's team, that they'll execute against their manifesto. I haven't heard the manifesto for Ricketts' team, but that they'll think about how do I have a sustainable program in place to improve the footballers, the football, which is coaches, players, and all the aspects I just mentioned, to have a sustainable product, and you have a conveyor belt of talent coming through, which you can sell overseas to generate resources, or you can play in the JPL to improve the product that people want to see it on TV or see it in person. But we have to find ways to improve the oversight, management, administration of the product to allow us to get the product on the field. And people pay for product, right? They'll pay for quality. But you have to have the quality to draw people so they want to attend games. Declan says, everything can't be done at the same time. So what are the priority items? That's a good point, Declan. I think the first thing is to get the administration in place. That's the first thing, right? You have to, but the problem with the administration is this. No one wants to sacrifice themselves. There are a bunch of people who have been there for years who don't want to leave their posts. And frankly, some of them just need to leave, right? So the speeds of the world I can work with. The Chung of the world, I think the jury's still out on Chung. But people like Ricketts, for example, he's a good person. He's like a grandfather. But is he a leader? Is he going to bring us to the next level? I don't think so. We need to have some new blood in the administration who are go-getters, who are young enough, who have the energy, the intellect, the stamina for this journey that we're going on. So I think the administration, we first got to get the leadership in place, because in any company, companies don't do well without good leadership in it. Good management, good leaders. We need to get the leadership down as a priority. Then that leadership prioritize what they think we need most and have a strategic and tactical means of doing so. But I think first you get the leadership in place and get the right people in place in the right seats to do the right job. Devin is saying, if you don't have a good feel, Devin is playing CDM now. We're about to say, Devonport, I drove from New York to Mississauga around Christmas years ago. Never again, different kind of cold. Yeah, I actually drove down over the last 2 weeks. I drove to Atlanta and drove back to New York. I will say this, though, because I'm not the best. I don't like to fly, even though I fly quite a bit. In driving to and from Atlanta, coming back, I spent a lot of time on the phone with management, going down and coming back. I think Vibes mentioned the 3-hour discussion we have on something about La Liga and Premier League. I will say, though, the driving becomes much easier when you have some of these animated discussions, because even though you focus on the road, the conversation goes so much and so long that you'll drive 3-4 hours and don't realize you're driving 3-4 hours. But then the rest of the journey, it just seems long. You just see stretch of road. You notice the road. You notice the time. You check. At least I do. But when I was on the phone talking, the time passed pretty quickly. So part of the way you should drive these distances is get good distractions. Make sure you keep your eyes on the road. You focus on the road, but you have good distraction and you're hand-free when you're talking. And you'd be amazed how the driving becomes easier. So being a management program and having those discussions really helped in how quickly, because going down to Atlanta, if you drive just regularly at 65 miles an hour is about 13 hours and vice versa. So, but it worked out well. Ray Bala says Metro Toronto, Kranky. Okay. I haven't been to Toronto in years, though. I think I was last there. It's been a long time I've been to Canada, actually. I haven't been to Canada in a long, long time. But I like Toronto. I think Canada's a nice country, actually. I like Canada. I've only been there a couple of times, but each time I've been there, it's been a good experience. So it's a good thing. So I'm going to do this for about 10 more minutes, people. And we have about 52 people in the chat. I appreciate you being here. It's been an interesting evening, actually. It's a new year. Again, Happy New Year to every one of you that you could join us. Hope you, either if you were out having fun, you're back home, that you're safe. I'm glad you're safe. Or if you're just joining us because you just woke up or celebrating New Year's with your family, it's a great thing. I hope you have the best of 2024. Make it your best year. Do everything in your powers to make it the best year. Because you only have one life to live and you should maximize this life that you're given. Be good to others and be good to yourself, actually. Devin is saying, we're talking about Canada cold now. Real baller, December not that cold. You should be here in January and February. Yeah, Canada does get cold. And for a longer stretch of time, actually. Yeah. I don't know what is worst. Canada's cold or the melancholy weather in England. I'm telling you, I lived in England. Well, I was born there, but I didn't really grow up there. Thank God I grew up in Jamaica, to be frank. But I went back there in 2012 to 2014 to live. And that weather was just not digestible. We only had, first of all, you don't get a lot of sun. And then the weather is just wet and cold for months after month. That's why everybody run away to Morocco or some other island someplace, or Bali, whatever it is, to go enjoy their holidays, because the weather is just melancholy weather. It's just rain and wet and soggy and just, you can see it on my face. It's just not ideal weather. Ian, I thought you were going to call into the number 685-202-7065. I thought you asked for the number. Ian, you're going to call in through WhatsApp because I haven't seen any call come through. So I'm not sure if it's still working or somebody cut it off because I'm not sure the person just left me their number for a time being. I'm not sure what happened. But anyway. But yeah, I can't say I enjoyed the weather in England. Weather in England was challenging for me. I didn't enjoy the weather. I like the country. I like London, for example. I lived in London, a couple of places. I like London, but I didn't enjoy the weather. I thought the weather was difficult for me. I like sunshine. And in the US, when it's cold in New York, at least for half the year, you're getting sunshine. You're not getting that in England. I'm sure vitamin D is lacking there because you ain't getting a ton of that, actually. Difficult. But yeah, so again, I want to thank you for being here. I've been here on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Longer than I thought it was. I was hoping management would join me. I know he was in church, but maybe he's gone to bed by now because it's a little bit late. But I know, as I mentioned before at the outset of the discussion, Manningsman would have been here tonight with us to celebrate the new year, but he does have. He's a man of God, as we talked about before. He's a pastor in the church, so they had their New Year celebration at the church, and he's going to bring in New Year with his congregation. So I'm sure they had a good time, praising the Lord and bringing the new year, which is a great thing, actually. Ian saying, "No, calling my guy in bed." But Ian, we're going to go to bed in the next few minutes. But Ian, thank you for being here. I know it's late. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you being here. Even though I would say the numbers have been going up slightly, people must be coming in and just clocking in from wherever they were. So the numbers are reducing. We start up with a low numbers, probably in the teens, further in 20s and 30s. They'll be going up slightly as time progresses. As you come in, just hit the like button, actually, so others can watch this. What I call my long-winded New Year's celebration of us bringing in 2024. Big up, Nitro. Thanks for joining. Mr. United still with his inquisitive sense about Mason. Mr. United is focused on Mason Greenwood tonight, actually. And Greenwood, I think everybody Jamaica want Greenwood, and that's a good thing. The question is, does Greenwood want Jamaica? If he doesn't, we should still wish him good luck. If he does, we're all going to be happy because he's a brilliant footballer. He has unique skill sets that we can all leverage as a country in terms of football. So, yeah. And I'm sure if he come join us, he would enjoy the team because the team seemed to have great camaraderie. Didn't seem that way in the World Cup qualifiers or in the early part of the World Cup qualifiers, but it seemed to be that way now. And you hear Lowe when he was on Management Program talking about their view of the team, of them, which is they can beat anybody. So that confidence is the first thing you need as a footballer. And the team seemed that whole local versus overseas in the team has seemed to have been dissipated amongst the players. We still get some of this in the chat, which I think needs to go away also. But you're seeing much more acceptance of this. You're not hearing it with the players anymore. And you know what? Winning is a great fixer for everything in life. Winning and positive outcome, it's amazing how that works. So, yeah, long may it come in. Long may it continue. The number is 685-202-7065 for anyone who wants to call in. I got one call tonight, which was from Vibesman, which was good. Wishing Vibesman was talking about the concept of belief and that you really can't debate belief, but that's subjective also. So, Nitro says, Nitro, what are you talking about? It's a difference in coaching and leadership. What are you talking about, Nitro? Difference in coaching and leadership. Is that what you want to see? Is it that what? What is it, Nitro? Expand upon your comment or acting. Chat there say, Kranky, did you talk about the under 20 and the quota system that I do? No, Champ Deck. I didn't really hear about a quota system per se. I know there's a lot of discussion about this, right? Which is, I think John Wall is the coach for the under 20. I get the sense from John Wall that he won't have a quota system. He just wants the best players. I know the manifesto from Raymond's team talk about an elite group of players from Jamaica. And there's nothing wrong with a Jamaican elite group of players. The question one should ask themselves is, would those players be able to compete with the players who have migrated overseas or playing overseas, whether local or otherwise? So, you know, I'm not going to be averse to anyone having a plan that can add value and improve the team, but it has to be a well thought out plan. And it's one thing to have a plan. The question is, how do you just have enough details to allow us to understand, does it have a chance for success? Or you just talk to win the election. So, and the concept of a quota, as I've said before numerous times, if someone is a citizen of your country, then that person is afforded all rights and privileges that a country provides to its citizens. Excuse me. So the concept of having quotas to me, this isn't like somebody's been injured. Like, you know, in the US, for example, where blacks were denied certain rights and privileges, and you may have to have a system to allow them to catch up to the rest of society. We don't have that in Jamaica in terms of football, right? If we have a demarcation or a situation where local players can't compete, then we need to fix that in Jamaica to allow them to compete. We can't deny others the ability to play now so they can catch up, because the competition is not waiting for us to catch up. We have to have already caught up. So again, the number is 658-202-7065. So we can't talk about, oh, well, you know, we have to deny someone who is a citizen but not be locally born for them to be part of the program. That's nonsense. They're a citizen. The coach should be given the autonomy to pick the team, period. A coach should not have a program where they're forced to pick players who they believe doesn't fit their system or have the ability to play in their national team. By the way, anyone calling to the number 658-202-7065, you have to call through WhatsApp. You cannot call directly. Please call through WhatsApp. I get a funny feeling people are calling directly, and that doesn't work. You have to call through WhatsApp. You can't just call through your local. You got to call through a WhatsApp app to do so, please. But the fact of the matter is, we have to have the best people in the team, because us as fans, all we're focused on is winning, you know. At least most of us, anyway. I should say everyone, because some people are focused on quotas. But winning is the most important thing. Winning brand me. Winning give me resources. Winning encourage others to come play for me, right? Winning aspire those who are local or overseas to want to be part of the program. And we have people with Jamaican lineage who can help us to win. And by the way, people, here's what's important. People don't realize this. Let me drink some water first before I make my next comment. There are a lot of people who migrate from Jamaica to give themselves a better opportunity in life to be successful, whatever way you want to define success, which probably means more resources. But the kids in their household grew up as Jamaicans. There is no ambiguity in that. Because you know how we Jamaicans are? It's our way or the highway. So they're forced to eat the foods that we have, communicate the way we do, think the way we do, and they walk around with the pride of being Jamaicans and Jamaican national. I heard Gabby Thomas talking about today about her dad being Jamaican, and she runs for the U.S. and basically she's a Jamaican because she grew up with Jamaican values and Jamaican way of thinking and operating. So they feel they're Jamaican. So when they want to come to the country to play for us and we want to exclude them, how should they feel about that? How would you feel if you were overseas, you're Jamaican born or you're a Jamaican citizen, your kids want to play for Jamaica? So we can't bring you into the team because you know what? We only have certain spaces for those who are non-locally born. That's not fair to those kids. And they grew up all their life, even in a foreign land, to play for Jamaica. So we should get rid of that notion. Edie said the number is not working. Really? The 658-202. Am I giving the right number? 1 second. Let me check my other phone. Wait 1 second. That's weird. Actually, the number's not. Let me just call the number myself if that's the case, because I called the number tonight and it was working. I'm not sure why it's not working now. I have to do some check why the number's not working. Wait, which phone? I'm confused. I have both phones here with with the same cover, so I'm confusing my two phones because they're both iPhones. 1 second. But the number worked earlier this evening because Vibes Man called me, so I'm not sure why it's not working now. But let me try to call it, actually. Let me try to call it and make sure it works before I say anything. Because I'm thinking the number worked, and it's not. That's interesting. Let me try to call that number. And now I'm checking my phone. I see I have a ton of New Year's message here, but let me do this. Now the number is working. I just called the number from one of my phones and it's working. Let me make sure it's the right number. 658-202-7065. The number works. Call the number through WhatsApp. I'm not sure why it may not be working for you. 658-202-7065, people. That's the number. So I'm not sure why it's not working. If you have a WhatsApp, call the number. So I'm not sure why the number is not working. 658-202-7065 is a number I borrowed this evening. So I'm not sure the person what happened to the number. I borrowed it just for tonight's show. I thought it was working. I just tried it. It's working. So I'm not sure what happened. But if you go on WhatsApp and call to the WhatsApp number, it should be working. And I'm not sure why it's not. That's strange. So I think Elite Sports has dropped the number. Let me try through this number. WhatsApp. And I can't say I'm a WhatsApp expert, so. All right, let me drop the number. And it's a Jamaican number, by the way, so that's why you got to call to a WhatsApp. Because if you're calling from the US or Canada, that'd be a problem. Now, if you say the number is not working, something is wrong. Maybe I'm talking too fast, but that's the number. And I just called it, and it works, actually. But you got to call to WhatsApp. You can't call the number. Well, you can call the number directly, but it won't come to me if you call it straight. You got to call to WhatsApp. It only works on WhatsApp. Yep. So it's working. I see a call coming in. Good night, caller. Name?
Yeah, big boss. Morning.
Good morning. Who's this?
Jerome.
Good night. Good morning, Jerome. How are you doing? Happy New Year.
Thanks and same to you on it.
Best. So what do you want to say, Jerome?
I want to touch on two things quick and fast.
Okay.
First one is the rickets situation.
Right. Well, once again, Jerome, if you're calling in, as I said before, we're giving 5 minutes to Jerome. And if you're calling in, I heard some of the calls coming in. Please be patient. And when Jerome gets up, you can call in. Go ahead, Jerome. Sorry.
Yeah. That's about the rickets situation. Honestly, I think at time Ricketts leave. Ricketts, as you say, is a good person, but not the correct one for the presidency.
Right.
Because we obviously we don't lack the talent, but leadership is a big issue when it comes to JFF. Right.
Yeah. I don't disagree on that one.
With the continuation of Michael Ricketts, I doubt we will see any much progression in terms of the football. Because his management style is poor, his leadership style is poor. And I think it is being reflected in our style of football, in the development of our players and the system. Because I mean, the fact that we are getting a result with this new coach, there are still a lot of things that need to be fixed.
So what would you suggest that we do going forward? Do you support Raymond then instead of Ricketts? What are your thoughts?
I think Raymond is the better candidate.
One second. Travis, you're not hearing the caller, Travis? That's strange. You guys tell me if you're not hearing the caller. Are you hearing the caller or not? I'm hearing him well, so that's a little bit surprising, actually. Can you guys tell me in the chat if you're hearing the caller? He was just mentioning Ricketts and that he's not necessarily supportive of Ricketts, but I don't want to translate what he's saying. I would like to hear him directly. So, are you guys hearing the caller? Can you guys in the chat just say yes or no? And I got to figure it out. Earlier when Vibesman called, people were hearing him, but I hear someone say they're not hearing you.
I can try call working.
They say they're hearing you. No, keep going.
Okay. All right. As I was saying, that I think of the two candidates, Raymond might be a better choice.
Okay. Why is that? Why do you say that?
All right. I so far haven't seen the manifesto of Ricketts. However, I have seen Raymond one. And I have identified a few of the things that I think can be worked with, especially his intentions or his thought process as it comes to the grassroots program and improving our standard of play, basically, like formulating a proper system. Or I think he's onto something.
Okay. So you're saying,
yeah.
What about Raymond's history, though? How does that inform your decision about him?
All right.
Yeah.
His history, being a part of the JFF for so long,
right,
and not being able to really effect any change.
Yeah.
It's a bit sketchy. However, he was. I would say he wasn't the leader at that time. And now, currently, if we had another choice in terms of another candidate, for example, a Butler, then I would tend to lean towards a Butler, but we have to choose from what is available.
Right. Okay.
And what is available is Ricketts and Raymond.
Right.
So based on what is available, I would swing towards Raymond.
Okay.
Also, I think Mr. Cameron is a good leader based on the things that I have seen from him with the management of West Indies and the improvement that he was able to bring about. He's a dictator, though. My new still is a dictator, but he knows how to get things done.
Okay. I hear you.
So I honestly believe that Mr. Anderson getting a chance with the likes of Mr. Cameron and others around, we should be able to see some level of better success. Mm-hmm. As we are not lacking talent.
I agree with the talent issue. We're lacking talent in certain. We're not lacking talent in the players on the field. I'd agree with that one.
No. We just need to harness the talents properly. And one of the things that has been killing us is that the transition of our young talents.
Right.
I remember seeing, like, especially, for example, recent time, an Alex Marshall. I think an Alex Marshall would be at a better level than where he is now. He has made about 10 retrograde steps.
Okay.
And I think it has a lot to do with system and style of play.
Right.
Discipline and all of that. And Alex is just one.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that's just my take still.
Well, I appreciate the caller, and Happy New Year to you and your family.
All right, thanks, and same to you, Anity.
Yeah, man, take care.
Cool.
Yes, everyone, the number, so we just had someone calling with the number I just gave you, so the number does work.
It's 658-202-7065. Give me 1 second, people. Just 1 second. Sorry. So if you want to call in, you may run this till 5. By the time management probably soon join. We'll be here till 5 o'clock this morning. I'm here as long as you are here. We have 58 people in the chat, which is really, really welcome. People have come, join us, gone to bed, wake up, come back, and we're still here. It's 2024. It's January 1st. It's 1:30 in the morning. Not a call coming in. Good night, caller. Who am I talking to?
What's up? 50-50.
50-50. I want so 50-50 is a man who's indecisive. Can't make up his mind. How you doing 50-50?
Indecisive, but I judge things from a different perspective.
How you doing 50-50?
Not too bad, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and your family.
And blessings to everyone in the chat, and may everyone have a prosperous New Year and achieve all the goals that they set out for,
Appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah. Pertaining to football in 2023, as a young Reggae Boys fan, right? This has been the best year for me as a fan. Not just based on the results that we accumulated over the period of time, but just the aura surrounding the national team, the likes of Leon Bailey, Demarai Gray coming, Mikel Antonio, Damian Lowe, and we had our ups and downs, and I think we had more ups than downs. There were times that the team was tested, but we came out on top, especially in the last period in terms of the Canada result at away to Canada, and going into the Nations League semifinals now. We have something to look forward to this year, as well as the Copa America. So for me, pertaining to the Reggae Boys, as I said, being this young, it's the best year for me as a Reggae Boys fan, and I've been watching them for quite some time. And over the years, I felt like there was a disconnect with the national team,
Right.
But now I feel more connected to them with how the program is set up and how we recruit players, and especially with a lot of the players coming from the Premier League and me watching the Premier League week in, week out. When you have some of these guys coming over, you already have that attachment to them at the respective clubs that they play at. Despite you supporting one club, you also watch these players at different clubs, so you know the ins and outs of these players and how they operate in terms of the football that they play. So them coming to the national team, it brings you closer to the national team compared to previous times. Not saying, you still don't rep the Reggae Boys, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving forward, I just like to see some improvements in terms of I wouldn't say improvement, but just more recruitment. The JFF have said that, they have players out there that they're looking at and they're willing to have discussions with to see if they can represent the national team. And we've heard all the names thrown around, the Mason Green ones, I think Reese Nelson, Morgan Gibbs White from Nottingham Forest. So there are players out there, and if they're looking at the national team going into the Copa America and the World Cup qualifiers, maybe one and two of them can join the national team and help us to progress going forward. Because I'm of the belief that not many of them will be playing for England. I don't think a lot of them will be selected for England. So why not come and help Jamaica qualify for the World Cup? And you have a center stage for yourself as well to put your talents out there, and it will benefit them going forward at the club level, because if you play particularly well, then there will be clubs interested in you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that 50-50.
Yeah. Lastly, I sent 2 gifts to you in the period of December, in the last week and this weekend. The West Ham result and the Fulham result. And it was a very thoughtful present. I put a lot of thought into it. A lot of prayer went into it as well. And I just have to say, a couple weeks ago,
so,
you
Kishan, I'll call you, Kishan.
But listen, we're not talking about United. I'm just saying, I sent 2 Christmas gifts over on behalf of United fans, as well as Liverpool, Man City, and other teams as well,
Yeah.
And it's just surprising to see you guys in the position of 4th, 1 point ahead of Spurs. And just a couple weeks ago before the West Ham game, you guys were on top of the table saying, yes, we're on top of the table. But it is what it is. I think Arsenal over the past 2 games have been a bit too predictable.
Yeah.
And Saka is a wonderful player, and Martinelli as well, but I think they've also been too predictable as well. And I don't know if they're tired or whatever, or they need somebody to challenge them. But I definitely think that Arsenal, if they're supposed to push forward at the in the second half of this season, they definitely will be needing a striker up front, to score at least 15 goals, 15 goals for the rest of the season,
So Kishan, before you go, let me say this to you, which is we appreciate the present. So no one can blame us for choking this year because we're in fourth when the year started. So if we finish above fourth, we would have done well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm not sad that we're in fourth because the last 2 years we snatched fifth from the jaws of fourth, and we snatched what, second from the jaws of first. So all right, Kishana. So I appreciate you being here.
I have to believe that in sports, it's all about winning, and you have to do everything in your power to win, and Mikel Arteta has been at the club for a while, and it can't be that you guys are just trusting in the process. It comes at a time where you guys definitely have to win a trophy. It might not be the Premier League, but whether it's the Champions League, FA Cup, or some of these cup competitions that you guys compete in. And if he feels to do that this season in one of these competitions that he's in still, then I probably have to move him on,
No, we're not moving him on. I hate to tell you this.
And I'm not saying just move him on like that because
no, Kishan, we're not moving him on. We may not be first, but we're not seventh either. Just want to remind you of that. We're not seventh.
But what I'm saying, let me ask you a question, right? And I always hear people in England talk about this. Whether would you rather top four or finish outside of top four and win a trophy? Which one would you rather?
Top four.
Win a trophy.
Top four.
So if it went down to the
unless the trophy is the Champions League.
Repeat?
Unless the trophy is Champions League, it's top four. Top four is our trophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have won enough FA Cup. We don't care about the League Cup. We're all about top four. Top four means money in Europe. We made £72 million from being in the Champions League and now in the tops in the last 16. 72 million. 72 million can buy me I wouldn't say a Havertz, can buy me a Kudos, can buy me a Martinez, can buy me a Timber, a lot of players. So we need that money. So no, we don't want some FA Cup trophy which doesn't have money associated with it. We want top four. So thanks to Kishan. We appreciate it. We're not trying to be like you though. So thanks for the Christmas and New Year's present. We appreciate those presents. They have given us some thought, but we're not trying to be seventh in the Premier League like your team is.
But listen, for the new year, I'll be sending some good wishes to Arsenal.
We know what your wishes are.
Look out for that one.
We got the 2 that you sent us. We don't want any more.
All right then.
All right, bless up. Happy New Year. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well.
Bless up. So people, the numbers. I dropped it in the chat already, 658-202-7065. I'll drop it again. I thought I saw Manning's man put his head up someplace, but then he disappeared. You must be wondering, what the heck are we still doing on this time in the morning? So another call coming in. It's a yard number. Bless up, caller. Name, how you doing?
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Good night, Kranky. It's Ian. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. Ian, how you doing? I'm doing well. Yes, it's New Year's, and I'm doing well.
I'm good. Happy New Year to you and everyone in the chat. Happy New Year. Lots of love, prosperity, and good health for 2024.
I appreciate it. Same to you and your family. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Respect. Yeah, on the footballing side, 2024, Jamaica, massive year ahead of us. The senior team, the U20s, and the preparations for U17s as well. So it's a massive year for Jamaican football. We have to centrally dominate this year because we need to get into the top parties so that our players can, have access to the English league, because that's where I think the market where players really should be heading. Not necessarily Premier League or Championship, but even League One, League Two. Leave from JPL go to a League 2 or a League 1. I think it's a good time for many for players. Yeah. Right. So the team just needs to progress, and persons have to understand that the players coming from overseas, they come here to help us and themselves. Yeah. Right. Because them coming here, our team wins games, we advance up in the rankings. And it opens
doors for our local based players to advance themselves, yeah, getting a contract wherever, and they can, help their families. Because most of our players, of course, are from the inner cities. And, more money will be coming into that part of Jamaica through football. So, it's a win-win situation for us, essentially. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the direction and approach that we need to take. And for our U20s, it's the same thing. We qualify for the World Cup. It opened doors for the schoolboys coming up. You understand? It opens the door because persons will be watching Jamaican football, be interested in our football. So if 6 or 7 local bond players get into our youth team, right, and we qualify for the World Cup, their contracts will be more handsome, more attractive, versus we fail to qualify with 13 of them or 14 of our local bond players. They end up in the USL or in the JPL, versus 6 or 7 ending up in Europe playing week in, week out, centrally at whatever level. So we have to look at the bigger picture where football is concerned. Yeah, and what can happen in the future. So I think that's essentially my take and my piece for 2024. We must look big picture. Don't look at it right now. Think futuristic, essentially. That's just what I have to say, essentially. So everyone, both persons in the JFF who are thinking, who are short-sighted, because many persons in JFF are heard short-sighted. They're thinking about the right now versus future. And many persons out there, administrators in Jamaican football, they're very short-sighted in their thinking. You have to look at the future. And what can happen if the program is advanced. If Jamaica moves into the 30s, what happens to our football? You understand? The more success brings and draws positive attention. Yeah.
So Ian, what do you say to? Give me 1 second, Ian. Give me 1 second. My nephew's here playing video game, and I can hear him in the background. He's getting a bit loud, but give me 1 second to just call him out. Sorry about that, Ian. So Ian, what do you say to the notion people says that if you fill the team with overseas born players, it precludes the local developed players from getting into the team and getting the exposure that will allow them to achieve some of the things that you're stipulating?
Yeah. Listen, what I'm saying is that, listen, look at a Cephas, Kahim Paris, for instance. Those players went overseas, gained the experience, and they got called to the national team, right? So the level of the JPL currently, it doesn't really help players to get to the national team, because the national team's level is far beyond the JPL. That's the truth.
Right.
Right? So you won't get into the team playing JPL right now. The JPL has to improve leaps and bounds for it to happen. Yeah? So what we need to do right now for players and their development, until funds can come in sufficiently to increase coaching education, because we're in the start, have to advance the coaches, have to improve the fields, have to put in structure in place, right? Look at youth development, right? Because having the JPL competition, probably should have 3 games playing. Should have under probably 17 for male and female running at the same time. Yeah. Should have a females game as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because we have to develop the football, it must start somewhere. You can't just rely on schoolwide football. You need to have a youth system football league running in tandem with the JPL. Yeah. So the teams that are in the JPL, the current raiser could be U17, U18 match, one female, one male, right? Current raiser. Then you play the JPL seniors afterwards, right? Because clubs develop talent. The school, you can't put it as a school. That's school's prerogative, because schoolboy football is an extra curriculum activity essentially. You can't ask schools to develop players. The coaches need to get themselves educated, right? C license, B license, A license, etc., and then come back and impart knowledge onto the youngsters. And also the JPL teams, I'm beating them for something. They need to use more youngsters in their setup, right? This is why we only have 5 players with over 1,000 minutes in the JPL. Players that are 05 essentially, right? And that's crazy. It means that they're not giving the youngsters opportunities.
All right. Well, look, I think there are a lot of advice being provided from different forums to those who are running the football, and hopefully they'll take the best of these advice and implement them to help the football progress. I mean, obviously, the first matter to be dealt with in 2024 is for the JFF to have its leadership belt down, determined, and then for those people to hopefully they all have plans. I know we see the manifesto for one team, we need to see the same for the other. And hopefully we all can agree that that manifesto will help the football move forward. But I agree with you in terms of some of the things you're suggesting that we need to do to move the football forward.
Yeah, and my last point is that how can these administrators want their players in the U20s and they themselves are not giving them a chance? Right. You're not giving them a chance in your club. You keep them on the bench, or you keep them outside of the first team. But yet you want a John Wall to pick them. If you're not picking them, why should you pick them?
Right.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
You are not giving them a chance because you don't believe in them. Right? But somebody else will believe in them. You first must give them the opportunity. I'm not saying to start them. Right? Give them a 20 minutes, a 30 minutes here and there. How do they develop if you don't give them a chance? Right? They have to first give these players, because listen, if we had, say, 40 or so 05s in the JPL with the minutes on their belts and the experience, the exposure, many of them would be chances are picked for the U20s, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's giving them the exposure. So what do they expect? Anyway, Kranky, bless up. Happy 2024. Cool.
Hey, Ian, appreciate the call. Take care and Happy New Year to you and your family. Thanks a lot.
Bless up.
Yeah. And that was Ian. Thanks, Ian, for his perspective on what he thinks, some of the things that the JFF should be focused on when the new administration or the old administration takes over. Caller, good night. Identify yourself.
Good night. Happy New Year, Kranky and the whole team. Big up to the people doing that.
Who am I speaking to?
Elite Sport. Ryan LFC.
Ryan LFC, Elite Sport. Good night, sir. How are you doing? Hope things are going well. Happy New Year to you and your family.
In and out, listening to your program and thing. It was a great show, you know.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that, sir.
But I want to call in on a couple things.
Okay.
So first, with the people in the administration about giving youth the opportunity at Jamaica and to play in the national team. I don't know why they think the national team is a way to give you opportunity. If you're good enough, the opportunity will come. Just like Shaman Lucas, just like Junior Fleming, just like Karim Paris and all of them play there. If you're good enough, the opportunity will come. They're trying to overhype you, they're gonna push up to get first time here. That's why one team don't want the overseas players then come in and think. And that's not right. We want best team represent Jamaica. Best team represent Jamaica. No matter where the players come from. You understand?
All right.
No, if we right? If we go to Copa America, we got the semi-final. We got the final of the Copa. We make it to the World Cup. And more money that I go put back in the development of the football out of Jamaica. So, I don't see why them about say them not money. They have playing in the diaspora. You used to play them in the diaspora. Every country I do. It's nothing new. But
All right.
you hear people asking when they talk about these foreign players, what do you do in Jamaica go? Where them more opportunity go? No. First and foremost, they have not money for pay the reggae boys play them. So them push up themselves, they not get the money. If a money they want. They have to just continue to work hard and try to get a contract, just like Shaman Nicholson said. And think you need the national team to get a contract. We see that over and over. So you don't need the national team to get a contract. So the money to just do the right thing and make the youth them prosper and stop full up the youth them with more national. And when them get the opportunity to play for Jamaica, them care how much.
All right. Now I hear you.
That's what I said. So, Kranky, you see, I come in at the field now and think, I just want to give some word of advice. Like, I want as much vlogger coming at the field because the more voice, the better. Everybody different, everybody have a different style of them thing. You see, you want to talk about a whole heap of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then show, right? So, my advice for you is to come in when you start to get frustrated and say nobody now watch So you just build up your thing. If you're talk about the Arsenal or Jamaica, you stick to your build an audience. Because if you continue to do 5-6 different things, that's going to show off YouTube. You understand? So you just build up first and then you can branch out whatever you want.
Okay. Now I appreciate the advice, sir. Appreciate the advice. Appreciate it. Make a lot of sense. You guys are much more familiar with the space than I am. You're expert in the space. You've been doing it for a long while. You know what works and what doesn't work. So any advice I get from yourself and others that I can leverage and help me in terms of building a platform and building momentum and building up a base, that'd be greatly appreciated. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, because you know you come in and then you're gone and think, and you go. It's take a lot of time to build up. You know, if you notice this YouTube, it take a lot of time and stuff. But
Yeah.
you will figure it as you go along and think, more people coming in 2024. So that's a great for the sports. Help below the thing. You get to me and say?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan,
All right.
appreciate the call, sir. I know it's late. Thanks for calling and appreciate you listening.
Yeah, before me leave, let me just say this quick.
Okay.
So people, the banning thing, we made a call for, let me say it. And I was calling for a ban, not because I don't love football, I love football, but the people in the administration, they are the people I want to get the ban. Right? So,
All right.
you know, I say that and people still have it against me. I may celebrate the reggae boys now. Everybody know why we did want to think you get back. So you have a different way about it, to go about it, to get rid of them people there. That's fine with me. But these people just continue and say, Ryan said them all. And people know the exact reason. Not because of the football, that's bad. Not because we need other work, it's because of the people in the administration. So we just think that.
Yeah. No, look, I understand your perspective. And frankly, there are a number of people who have talked about a ban previously, because one has to weigh the plus and minuses to a ban. You see right now what's happening in Brazil. I'll talk to you and just the comment on the screen by RR. He's asking the question, Kranky, did you hear the FIFA action in Brazil? Yeah, FIFA's basically told the Brazil, I'm going to say it's government, which has a problem with the election process that elected the new Brazil president, which is you can't interfere with football matters. Otherwise, you will not be able to play international football. And you know, Brazil football is a religion. So the problem you have is FIFA is a consortium which have its own rules and regulation and precludes government who may have good intentions to change the football positively that they can't do so. FIFA has to do so, even though FIFA, as we know, has a history of challenges and corruption, but they also control the football. So I understand your view about, you know what, a ban may change things. There are others who are saying, well, a ban may have a good outcome, but what do we have to go through to get there? And that's why some people are challenged with the view of doing so. But I understand both sides of the equation.
Yeah. But before me leave with this Brazil thing, I just hope to God, because I'm telling you, the other side, if them not win, I hope, I'm not going to say hope, them going to push it to the limit. I'm hope that they end up reaching with the thing of Jamaica, because the man them now give up the thing. Kranky, a lot of people think say no money in any of the thing. A lie. We are an idiot, we are a fool. Money in the JFF.
Yeah.
Money in there. And that's why the man them know live. Nobody in Jamaica. Nobody, if first thing me know about Jamaica. Anybody who see a name of slaughter and all of them, they must have benefit from something. Them not sit down and make them slaughter them. But this thing where people say the JFF book and thing and all of them stuff there. We sure we hear them always. The FIFA money alone can run the administration. The biggest problem is the JFF is not money, you know. It's competent people in the position to do the right thing. If you have competent staff, you get the job done. You will keep on everything. I'll even get JFF 10 billion tomorrow morning. They will still have money problem. Because them not the right people to sell where they're supposed to.
Well, Ryan, hopefully the YouTubers, you know, who I think have good intentions, will try to keep the focus on the JFF to do the right thing. And hopefully others may want to come to the space to help the program move it forward, because it is challenged. It has had a lot of difficulties, but we seem to be, at least for the Reggae Boys, going in a positive direction, which hopefully we all can benefit for, because fans just want to win. The players just want to be successful. And I'm sure the JFF realize that success means money, and that if they do the right thing, hopefully going forward, or get the right people to do the right thing, then we all be happy. So it's a good thing.
Well,
all right. Bless up, Brian. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Happy New Year to you and the family. That was Ryan from Elite Sports. Appreciate Ryan calling in, giving his perspective on some aspects of the football. And look, Ryan talked about, you know, the view of people saying him should ban the football. I think some people had that perspective before, right? Which is, if you ban it and clean house, can you get it to start over? So even though we are winning now and we're doing well, I can't say it's the wrong view to have. One has to have their own view about what will we need. And look, we all want to see the football, right? And the girls not playing in 2024, we all realize that's not a good thing. But at the same time, the question we're going to ask ourselves is, will the girls resolve the situation with the JFF in a way in which things work seamlessly going forward? And then secondly, it's not that the men's team are not having problem, because the law hinted at that, is that the men's team have decided, you know what, we're just going to focus on the football, and all this other distraction we have, we're just going to work around them. But the JFF has to continue to improve and do better. And the hope is that, you know what, the success will give them more resources to pay down their debt. And then, importantly, to start investing in the football so everybody can be happy. Fans can be happy, sponsors, the government, everybody around the football can be happy. But right now, it's a good point in terms of the team and its success, at least the men's team, because we can't forget about the girls, right? Who have done better than the men's team, frankly, in the history of football. by one, not going to one, but 2 World Cups, but more importantly, passing the first round in the World Cup against some of the best teams in the world between Brazil and France, not losing any game in the first round and barely losing to Colombia in the second round. So we should be appreciative. They should be commended. They should be treated with the respect they deserve. And instead, we have this contention, which is just disappointing. So hopefully that change. We have 78 people in the chat. We have 80 likes. We should have more than 80 likes because you know what? The likes were much ahead of the number of people in the chat. And we have more people coming to the chat. People, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's late. You know, just too mean with a finger. Just press the like button. Huh? If you hear that, means you must like something while you're here, right? At least I hope so. But just press the like button before you leave. We'd appreciate it. So others can watch it later on when they wake up in the morning enjoying 2024. Let me see what other comments are here. I said we're going to conclude 20 minutes ago in 10 minutes. 10 minutes can't come. So big deal. If you're going to call me. It's open now. Ryan was here for a while. We had Ian call. We had Vibesman call. So I think we had Jerome call. We had Kishan call. So we've had a few calls later on. But if you call, you got to call through WhatsApp. You cannot call directly because I'm my number. We borrow a number. You know, Jamaicans love to borrow. I borrow a number from Jamaica just for tonight. So appreciate it. And Ryan, thanks for calling. Ryan is on Elite Sport TV, does really, really well, has a great following. So support the Elite Sport channel and the content he brings out. And as Ryan has given me some good advice about don't be a jack of all trades and master of none, which is something I've thought about actually. So I will be doing more than one channel actually. I will do a sports channel, but I have so much more interest, frankly, even more than sports, in what's happening in my environment, whether socially or otherwise. So whether it's talking about economics, whether it's talking about financial markets, whether it's talking about personal finances, whether it's talking about recruiting and the corporate environment and how you engage people in the environment, how you operate, whether it's talking about resume writing, mock interview, whether it's talking about, you know, having conversation with judges in the area or lawyers, whatever it is, I'll have a program just for that, and I'll have one. And people are gonna ask me, well, you get all this time to do it? I'm gonna have time in 2024. I'm just put it that way. I'm gonna make time in 2024. Not just because right now my schedule has been ridiculous over the last number of years, but I'm gonna allocate some time to talk to people. So my channel name would be Kranky Live, even though not everything will be live, but that's easy. I changed my name to KRA and KY. It's gonna call Kranky Live. I'm trying to trademark my name before I jump on, which takes a while. But it's going to be called Kranky Live. That's one channel. That'll be my sports channel. I have another channel that's going to do more social type things. But they're all going to be a Kranky derivative. So whether it's Kranky Live or Kranky TV or whatever Kranky is, going to be something cranky because I'm a cranky person in some respects. So, but I do intend to have more than one channel because I think, as Ryan alluded to, YouTube have its algorithm that determines, you know, what people watch or how it all works. And as Ryan has alluded to, one has to make sure you're targeted on a given subject matter and you stick to it. And it's a discipline that people want to view versus being a jack of all trades. And as he said before, and I've seen people start channels and not getting the views or getting the subscribership. So as you hear me talking tonight, you know I'm going to have a channel when I started. If you can subscribe, we appreciate it. And tell other people to subscribe. They may not even listen to me. So people get, you know, the subscriber numbers go up and you get viewership go up. It helps the channel. So Devon said, Kranky, it seems like your investment is working for you in order for you to have more time on it. Well, Devon, you know, there's a kid that comes on these channels. He has his own YouTube channel. I watch him sometime. I think his name may be Errol Stevens. Is that his name? He's an ex-footballer for Jamaica. And he's always talking about passive income, right? And I love those stories of kids who play football, but were educated enough to realize that there's life after football and that at some point my football earnings power is going to be done and I have to transition to something else. And therefore, if that's the case, and I want to be able to advise some of those kids, which is your football life could be done in a minute. You could have an ACL injury, you can't play like you used to, right? Whatever money you make should be allocated. This is the way I think about allocating your money. You have your family you need to take care of. So there's expenses for the family. How much do I provide to myself and my family? You can't give them all they want. There is savings. How much do I save? But saving only gives a certain return. And there's investments. Whether you run a business or you buy stocks and get dividends, or you invest in bonds and get interest, or you invest in real estate, right? There's not a litany of things you can invest in, frankly. People may think that is, but they're in categories. And what Stevens has done is invest in real estate, and he has a number of Airbnb. But you also got to think, if you live in Airbnb, that industry also sometimes gets challenged. But I love how he sort of, on his programs and his channels, and it's part of his about his family, how he walks you through the sort of how he invests and how he runs his properties. And, you know, if you invest in real estate, people have to live somewhere. The world population is always increasing. So it's always a good thing. So Devon, I won't say what I do or invest, Devon. Let's just say I try not to owe, and I try to own. I'm gonna put it that way. I believe in that philosophy, which is take care of your family, take care of your expenses, don't spend more than what you earn, don't buy what you can't afford, don't get yourself in too much debt, try to invest in different things, make sure you do your research before you invest. And I want to talk about those things on my channel, at least on my other channel, that's non-sports channel. I want to talk about a number of those things. I think it's important for people. And over time, and I'm not rich, by the way, I'm far from being rich, but I try to be comfortable. And I'll give you an example. I was in the military in the US for like 4 years, and I only bought my car, and I wanted that car when I was in the military because my Jamaican friends there, they took care of me as a young 18-year-old. They took me around, they taught me how to drive, they showed me everything. And people don't realize that Jamaican community can be great when you're in a certain environment where it's not a lot of you, and they come together. We share the music, we share the food. We were like brothers and sisters in that environment. Their wives treated me really well. Somebody's calling in. Good night, caller. How are you doing?
Kranky.
Yes. Who's this?
Yeah, man. Good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Who's this?
Robert, man. Robert.
Bless up, Robert. How are you doing?
Your channel, the panel committee, I look for you to try to subscribe. You up already?
No. I haven't started yet. I can't start my channel for the next 2 months. For whatever reason, I'm not going to start for the next 2 months. As I said before, I'll have more time after the next 2 months. Let's put it that way. So I didn't want to start it. I would start it, but I would start it, but not start it. Meaning I'll set it up, but try to get subscribed before I have my first program. But I want to have 2 channels. One is a sports channel, and one is a channel that talks about just life in general. Because as Ryan alluded to, if you have one channel and you have all these things combined, it can be confusing, right? So, but I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate you want to subscribe to my channel. I will actually be leveraging all the platforms I go on sometimes with those people, because those are core persons. Yeah.
I support all the platforms,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good thing.
with the subscription, because about 4 phones in my house, so everybody, I just make sure everybody does subscribe to Manning's Man, coaches, this, Ryan, everybody.
Yeah, well, and the support is appreciated. So thanks for doing that, actually. That's a great thing.
When I tell you coaches that about Miguel Coley.
Right.
And one of the things when we pick up with Miguel is that he is loyal. And most of the coach, them in Jamaica don't know what that means. Why I say that when Schaefer got fired, Miguel stick with Schaefer and see where I'm there now.
Okay.
When the JFF fired Paul Hall, Marion God is still there. They're there.
Okay.
So nobody now look out for them. When something there got fired the other day with the women, them
Donaldson.
Donaldson, the guy that was him second in command.
Right.
You don't think, say, if that guy did stick with Donaldson, you know, thinking all this a job where him get over America, maybe him that bring him in and it will get some experience.
Well, that's a good question. The question you ask yourself though is, did he have the opportunity? So there's two things. One, he's getting the temporary job for the, huh?
Them not loyal. Them as Jamaican have the style. As soon as they get rid of somebody, them want jump in that space. How would them know so them can't manage it?
Okay.
This guy will deal with the woman thing with you know. Him been coaching the youth sides them from a longer while, you know.
Yeah.
And he has failed at that, you know.
Okay.
Fail and constantly fail the under 17. You know, remember if him do the under 20, but me know saying yes, I think him to the under 22. And then them start complaining about the length of time then get to prepare team and all kind of something.
Right. Okay.
And then you take up the national program game. The girls in national program through JFF want to be dictators. And him knowing himself say, them only set out to embarrass him, you know, because he knows that's all them do with him, you know. And see, I don't think he's gonna get the job.
Right.
Because him fail again. Where is he heading now? What am I going to improve? How am I going to improve themselves? Miguel Coley make an example out of them and show him how him go and improve himself. When them fire Schaefer, you know, because of him loyalty to Schaefer, you know, Schaefer take him with him and carry him go at the club when he get, you know. I see them now, look how far him reaching and coaching education.
All right.
Remember?
But Carla, here's a question for you, Carla. So we don't know the circumstances with Donaldson and the assistant coach, because sometimes you don't choose all your assistant coach. You know, sometimes organizations give you some assistant coach. And the question also is, maybe Schaefer respected Coley's acumen, coaching acumen, and decided to take him with him. Because sometimes you do in a company, you know, just like in football. You have certain assistants who you respect their acumen, you know their work ethic, you know their ability, you take them with you. Some you would say, you know what, I'm going to leave you because I don't see you as part of my organization going forward. So we don't know the situation with Donaldson and this person, but understand the view you're saying, which is loyalty goes a long way and may help your career in terms of your progress.
Of course. And then again with that, you know, Kranky, if you have a person in your corner where willing to learn and them system respect you and willing to learn from you, you're more encouraged to teach a person, you know.
True. That is true.
So but if you come and act like you know it already, nobody now go and teach you anything.
Right. Yeah. No, look, I would agree with those sentiments actually.
Yeah. It's just like you're gonna teach somebody to drive and when you tell them what to do, them start tell you, say them know that already. So why makes sense to come to me to teach you to drive?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
But with most of the Jamaican coach, them ego and them not loyal.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say Gilbert's not loyal because I don't know the situation with him, but I understand your point.
Yeah. I don't know if I that a situation with as we saying, but me figure it out. Say most of them coaches in Jamaica them have a problem, and them no want to go nowhere further than Jamaica.
Yeah.
And they start ball about say money. You know, hey, if you know how many people who go through university and college and never have a first dollar.
Yeah, it's not. Look, education is not cheap in Jamaica anymore. When I was growing up, it was cheap, not cheap anymore. So.
But if you hear some people talk and tell you how them never had the first dollar to start them education process, but yet still them find a way and get it.
No, I hear you. No.
We love too much handout at Jamaica, man. That's our problem. Too much handout. And we don't try for ourselves.
Yeah. No, I hear you, Carlo.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Big up
man.
for the
Happy New Year to you. Thanks for calling. I appreciate you staying up this late with us. I appreciate you
man,
being
and,
here.
and as soon as I work at night, but I'm not at work tonight.
Okay.
So, but as I may try to tell you, say, when time you get through with your channel, then you let me know.
All right. We'll do that.
And I'll subscribe because there's all time people always say one and wash one. That's how it go.
True. I totally believe in that sentiment also. Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
So big up yourself, Kranky.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Have a happy New Year.
Same to you.
All right. Thanks. All right, people, you hear that sentiment, the view about loyalty. And look, I think loyalty is important, as we talked about. We're not sure the facts and circumstances with the situation. I want to mention the whole Coley discussion, though, Miguel Coley, because he's got his pro license, which I think is the highest license you can achieve. It's a significant accomplishment. We have talked about Jamaica and the coaching situation, and that there are coaches in Jamaica who think they're brilliant coaches, but they haven't gone through the accreditation process to substantiate that they meet the requirements to be viewed accordingly. Doesn't mean you have to go to college to be smart and to do things well, but they give people some view of your ability and you get opportunities based on you having those accomplishments. And so my hope is that what Speed is doing in Jamaica to try to get the licensing process in place, to have people go through the process and protocol and standards and situation that allow them to be able to show that they can be good coaches and that they have gone through the process of assuming and are getting the requirements to allow them to be viewed that way and then to execute on the field is a good thing, and hope we have more and more of that. So Miguel, Cole, wherever you are in the world, congratulations, well done, and continued success. Someone asked, Princess, did I cover the war in Gaza and Ukraine? Yes, tangentially. I didn't go into it in detail, but I mentioned as one of the events that informs 2023, even though it started in the previous year. And what I also mentioned is that, interestingly, we seem to be forgetting about the war in Ukraine. It's amazing how our attention span is short. And not only us, but people who are providing resources to support those wars, like the U.S. Congress, which now is focused on Israel, because they're the hot topics, and no longer focus on the situation there. But interesting times. Rob Smith, big up yourself. Hey, Rob Smith, Rob Smith. I have to smile about this, Rob Smith, because the low conversation could have been very uncomfortable for me, Rob Smith, until you came to my rescue. Because Lowe started out being defensive about me criticizing him, and then you set the matter straight by saying, I said he should play at a higher level, and his demeanor changed. So, Rob Smith, kudos to you. And I'm going to drink to you for 2023 because you helped me out when I need the help. Bless up. Rob Smith saying, last year I lost my son on the 1st, and being part of this community distracted me on days I need to be distracted. Thank you all. Hey, Rob, condolences, son, and sorry to hear that. The worst thing is to lose a child, frankly. I only have one son, and I pray that I go before he does, because it's difficult to lose one's kid. So much blessing to you, brother, and hope 2024 is a great year for you. I did talk about before in a previous segment that fathers need to be in their kids' lives, because the stats have shown and information has shown that when a father is in the household, kids do much better than single mom. Not as good as do a parent's household, but the stats have shown that a father's kid in their life is an imperative and important, especially in our community. So, Rob, I'm sorry you lost your son. Blessing to you, brother, and hope you have a great 2024. You cannot replace the kid. Should always be in your memory. But we're sorry to hear that, and we're glad these channels provide a distraction, even though you can't replace your son, not even a consideration. But we're sorry to hear that, and much love to you, brother, and hopefully you'll have a great 2024. But thanks for being here. I know it's late for everyone. I had planned to be here, say 12:15, it's 2:19, I'm still here. And I'm enjoying the company. I'm not sleepy. It's amazing because I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, between 10 and 10:30, because I got to get up at 4:30. And I slept, you know what happened? I slept in the day today, frankly. I was watching some NFL football. Maybe I slept because my Arsenal team lost. So I need to go sleep off the whole thing, actually. Richard, he has a pro license, which is higher than an A license. So he has I think it's like having a doctorate. It's like having an undergrad, a master's, and a doctorate. He has a doctorate, at least theoretically, anyway. Now he has to go on the field and prove himself. So he has gone through all the steps to have the highest available license, which is a great thing, actually. And he may be, I think is he the first in Jamaica or maybe the second? I think someone told me that Paul Hall is also the pro license. So it's a good thing for Coley. And hopefully we have more and more coaches. And I think we're seeing that trend, actually. And we should say kudos to Rudolph Speed, who has been very instrumental in trying to starting up this whole coaching thing in Jamaica in terms of the licensing thing. And I know that people say these licenses are expensive, but if you want to improve as a person, you have to develop and identify means to help you to garner the resources for you to go get that license. Because when you get accreditation, when you have a paper in your hand saying, I have a bachelor's, I have an MBA, I have a doctorate, or I have this resume that says, if you're a plumber, you get a license. It's better than having a license as a plumber, right? Or a construction, you have a construction company, better get that license. License gives you more opportunities, more job, you make more from it. You don't have a license, people view it a different light. So you need to get your licenses in whatever discipline you're in. If you're an accountant, get your CPA or chartered accountant license. If you are a plumber, get your license in the state that you're in. If you're a coach, go get your license, because you'll be surprised the differentiation in compensation between not having a license and having a license. So we should all do that. Lulu said, Kranky, like how Arizona beat Philly. I haven't been watching the NFL as much, but Philly has been falling off a cliff of late. Like, Arizona should not be beating Philly. So is it a quarterback hurt? Is the quarterback? Is it the quarterback problem? Is it a coaching problem? But Philly has not been playing well. The only people that can beat is my Giants, who are struggling. So here's a very philosophical question. I'm gonna love my YouTube channel when I talk about more social issues, actually. So Princess is saying, do you think this trend of self-destruction from our black icons from Cosby to Diddy will continue? So that's a good question, actually, and we can add Kanye West into that number. So the question is arising is this a deliberate attempt by those in certain positions to cancel some black men who have done really well? Or do we just have self-destructive individuals in that seat? I don't know, because it's a difficult question to answer. What I would say is that a couple of things. One is, sometimes there's deliberation. It may seem far-fetched, but sometimes people are just waiting to bring certain people down. And sometimes those people do a good job of bringing themselves down, right? I don't know. I don't have all the facts about some of these things. Excuse me. But if you look at all these items, if you look at all these here, what is Diddy? Was about history. He's in a very difficult industry, right? Where we see conflict. It's like being in dancehall in Jamaica, as we see with Sting more recently, and the fight they had at Sting or whatever it was. We certain genre bring certain personnel into that vein, and they operate in a certain manner. And if you're successful in that field, like we saw with Suge Knight and with Diddy, you have to be involved in certain things which may not come to light. And we seem to be in what we call the cancel era, which is, if you look at Harvey Weinstein, for example, that Hollywood mogul who's now in jail forever, basically, and what he did, things that happened 20, 30, 25, 30 years ago are now manifesting themselves. And that's what happened to Diddy, right? Cosby was the same thing. And it does beg the question, which is, do we have statute of limitation, which is when certain things are not necessarily can be prosecuted? How does that work? Cosby stuff but Cosby spoke on himself. He had deposition when he was sued, more civil, and he mentioned certain things that he did by giving certain people certain pills, which is not appropriate. We know what happened when Diddy was with Jennifer Lopez and what transpired, why they were no longer together, and some of the things that Diddy may be involved in from the Puff Daddy era. And by the way, I don't even follow rap that much, and I know some of these things, frankly. Don't ask me why I know. Maybe I just follow the news. Obviously, the situation with Kanye West, for example, who people gotta understand this. Words matter. You can't say certain words about certain groups. because they have the power to cancel you, and he got canceled. He was a billionaire. All of a sudden, he's only worth a couple $100 million. So money, even though I've said to Manning's man, which I'm going to debate him on, that money is the most important thing in life. There are certain other things which can get you in trouble, no matter how much money you have. And what you have to understand is this is what, if you have money, how do I generate my money and what can affect my money? So those are interesting situations and things actually, which is I may have money, but do I control how I get my money or do I depend on other people? Kanye depended on Adidas. And they did this affiliation, which I'm sure in the contract they had certain stipulations which they could get out of, which they did. Cosby made a lot of money. And I used to go to Penn Relays, and Cosby was always at the Penn Relays when I went there. And he was a great ambassador for Blacks and to show us in a different light than just being from certain environment. And Diddy has been successful most of his life. He started when he was at Howard University, being a producer and being a promoter and managing these artists, and has done well. But each of them who were really accomplished, really have done well, have had difficult times in the last, I would say 10 years. Maybe Crosby then, and now Diddy more recently. So very difficult for them, and hope things change. But do I think it's a deliberate attempt to undermine them and cancel them? Look, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know. But it's something that we probably should explore more. And I'll do so on my channel in the future. I'll be talking about, these are just such nice topics to discuss and to decipher and to have really meaningful dialogue on. And I hope some of you guys, and just not about football, because you have life outside of football. Hopefully we can have these conversations more meaningfully, and I can get your perspective and your views about these things when I do start the channels, the 2 channels that I intend to do so. Devon is saying Kranky is deliberate. This is a trending in the Black community in becoming self-reliant, and certain people cannot afford that to happen. So it's written so it will be done. Devon, it's an interesting point, actually. I'm not going to say some of it's not deliberate, because these things happen in life, right? You'd be shocked sometimes. If you ever work for example, in the corporate environment, and you get certain experiences and you're amazed that these things happen, you'll be amazed what happens in those environments. Having said that, though, sometimes we create our own problems and we give people an opportunity to undermine us. And when you do that, you're going to have bad outcome. So my philosophy is try to stay above the fray and try to ensure you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have regrets. I always tell them, I have a bunch of nieces and nephews, and I always give them this, because I've only got one son, but I always give them this advice, which is this. When you make decisions in life, weigh up the positives and the negatives, the benefits and the detriments, the good and the bad. If when you're assisting, we're going to drive fast, think about what could happen. I could crash, I could kill myself, I could hurt others. What benefit I get? I get the pleasure of driving fast. Is it worth the possible consequences given the pleasure I'm going to attain? If it's not, why do it? That's my philosophy. So when you do everything, what's the risk reward I'm running? And should I truly take that risk? Is it worth the risk? If you think it is, if you've done your assessment, think it is, then you know what? Make the decision. If it's not, why do so? And it goes the same for everything you do in life. And we'll touch upon those things when we get to like relationship and all those things, because I don't want to get them to the Management channel. Sure, Management must be wondering, Kranky, when you gonna get off my channel? You've been on here for like 3+ hours. You don't do anything that life in life, and you're talking about some topics which I don't touch. This is a sports channel, Kranky. But these are interesting topics that we should explore and explore them on my. I'm using Management channel to promote my own channel, and he told me it's fine. So hey, it's all good. Pristine, big up. Thanks for being here at 2:30 in the morning. And people, as you come in, hit the like button. Before you leave, hit the like button. People have joined and left and joined and left, and I appreciate you being here. Mr. United said, I don't think it's deliberate. It appears to me as if they're guilty as charged. Look, Mr. United, I think sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. However, sometimes people are just waiting for you to slip up so they can take advantage of you or to put you in your place, as we call it. So sometimes it's seen as conspiracy theory when people say this is deliberate. but you'd be amazed at some things that happen. And I'm telling you, I can't wait to start my channel at some point, because sometimes when you live and breathe these things, you just want to outlay them to the general public, but you got to be careful sometimes on these forums or whatever you say and do, because you should always, when you make a decision, here's the thing we should think about people in life, which is this: the world is so small, it's amazing, and whatever you do and say, you should think about, will it ever come back to bite me? Because it does happen. And I realize how small, especially, I work in the finance world. I didn't realize how the world is small it is. Even when I went overseas and realized the same people you meet in New York, the same people you work with in overseas. And then what's even important, your previous boss could be your new boss, wherever it is. Or someone you engage with could be your boss. You didn't ever think it could happen, but it happened. So we always got to make sure we do the right thing, because it's amazing how the world is small, even though it seems so big. And we have over 8 billion people in the world, and you run into some people you never think that you could, because of the crowd you run in, or the discipline you're in, and the environment you're in. You meet people, you engage with people, recurring basis, which you think would never happen. So we just gotta live right. If you live right and you live pure and you try to do the right thing, life always seems to work out. Maria Russ is saying, whenever we have more pro licensed coach in JPL, the football will improve. I'd love to see the players leaving the JPL go to the EPL like back then. Yeah, look, Maria, it's not by chance that most of the best coaches in the world come from Spain, right? You look at the Premier League between Emery, the coach for Aston Villa, for Bournemouth, Arteta, Pep. There are a number of Spanish coaches in the Premier League, which is an English league. You don't see as many English coaches in there. And Spain have the most qualified coaches per capita in the world, frankly. That's not by chance. And Spain, somebody plays some of the better football, and they have a philosophy and they have a system of play. That's not by chance, because they invest in their football, they invest in their coaches, which then results in good players. And even though the administration have had problems, especially with their women's team, at least they've invested in certain aspects of the things that inform their football, which allow them to be successful. So Drew Ross says Drew Ross, I'm gonna do 5 more minutes and go to bed myself. I could be here talking all night. Hey Drew, you've been here for most of the night. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. If you haven't hit the like button, do so before you leave so others can watch your program. But brother, hope you have a tremendous 2024. And as a Fortis, be good. I mean, everyone to be good, but especially my Fortis brothers, be good. Take care. Much success in 2024 with you and your family. But thanks for being here. And thanks for staying up with me, because it's late. I see Manny's man popped his head in and then disappeared, because he's like, Kranky, we're not staying up with you. Let me just see any other comments to go before I check out. What else is here? So Devon Porter said, Honorable Mr. Farrakhan, Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan always says, this is going to happen and it's coming to pass. Look, I mean, I think Farrakhan has gotten more credibility over the years, frankly. If you think about his history and where he is and how he engaged. But sometimes I think some of our leaders have to understand that if you want to win support, you have to figure out how to do so. And being on the extreme is never, to me, the best outcome. Now, we need, having said that, you sometimes need people at all levels, right? You need people on the extreme, you need people in the middle, and you need people at the other end. Because if you think about history between Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm would have been the extreme. So people gravitated of all disciplines to Martin Luther King, because they couldn't digest Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm got a little bit more tolerable as time progressed over time. But if you look at history, Martin was always preaching inclusiveness, nonviolence, and Malcolm would say, by all means necessary, right? Which is on the other extreme. So there's more gravitating towards Dr. Martin Luther King over time versus Malcolm. But if you look at Malcolm's history, and what he was talking about, what he said and what he did and how he lived. You know, because Malcolm came from an extreme of living a certain lifestyle to being much more, I'm going to use the word religious very loosely. So look, I do think that you need people across all the different dimensions of these things, and you got to choose which one you want to follow. Peter, Mrs. Respect Kranky, looking forward to your channel. Yeah, Peter, thanks. Hope you subscribe, and I'm looking forward to engaging with you guys going forward. I think it will take me some work to get a channel up and running, but I'm willing to do the work. As I said before, I have a little more time on my hands to do some more of this. I'm looking forward to talking to people. I want you guys to subscribe. I want my channel to not just be Jamaica, actually, to be international in it, but I think everything I talk about will have implications for Jamaica. And I want us on YouTube and these forums to start a movement. We have to find a way to get our country to be where it's supposed to be. You know, I have you know, someone who I engage with quite a bit who talked to me about non-Jamaican who love Jamaica, right? And tell me about the potential of Jamaica. And it's very disappointed in how Jamaica operates, because they're like, your brand is so great, the country is great, the people are smart. You guys have some challenges, you would say, about how angry you get, you know, for some reason, but you have so many attributes which are positive, which are recognized globally and which people value. And yet the country has so much violence and so much other things which are deemed to be negative. And that's a frustration for her and a frustration for me, because the country and its people have so much potential, but potential is what you can be, and what we are is not where we need to be. Now, this is not to paint everybody with a bad brush. This is a generalized statement, which is we can do better, we should do better, we must do better. And if you're people like me who are, I'm gonna call aged, who know that their time on this planet is getting shorter by the day, and you want to leave a better world for your kids and your kids' kids and those youngsters who are coming through, we must do better. It's ridiculous that the country is where the country is. Now, that hasn't said the country has made progress. It has made progress, but for every 2 steps it takes forward, it takes like 10 steps backwards. And here's what people need to understand. Here's my last point before I close out tonight. If you don't feel secure where you live, you have to move. Just think about it. One of the most important things to people is safety and their personal well-being. And so if I live in a community where I'm unsafe, I will never have the best me, because I'll be very uncomfortable. And if you look at this migration that's hitting the US from Venezuela, from Latin America, from areas of the Caribbean, part of the migration is not just about people improving their financial condition, it's them wanting to feel secure and feel safe, right? Everybody wants to have resources to help them and their family and live a comfortable life. But if you're in El Salvador or Honduras or Guatemala, you can't have a business because you get taxed by the gangs. And this happened in Jamaica, by the way. I'll give you some extreme search. So you have to take extreme measures as a government to rectify those situations. That cannot be a good thing. So these are some of the things I want to talk about on one of my channels. It's just the most social aspect and fabric of our society, and how each of us have to take responsibility, because the government can't fix the problem. Government can't fix crime. You don't fix crime by more guns and having police shoot people and kill people. That's not fixing crime. So we talk about some of those things, those genesis for those situations. Now we fix it because government can't fix it. Don't make people confused about, well, the government needs to do this. They can only fix symptoms. They can't fix the problem. So that doesn't work. Richard saying, Kranky, is Miguel in position to teach other coaches? I don't know, Richard. And another question, Richard, because we had this discussion on Coach's Desk, which is, will Miguel even want to go back to Jamaica? And if he does he get compensated for his services? Will the JFF employ him? Can he become like an overseer for the coaches program? Can he work with Speed? All these questions are questions to be answered, which we talk about in 2024, because that's important, actually. But anyway, people, it is 2:39. I am going to say good night. First of all, I want to say thank you for being here. No, seriously, this is really appreciated. Some of you have been with me since we started at 11 o'clock. I've been on for 3 hours and 39 minutes. I have never done this before in terms of length of time on the program, even though when I was coming back from Atlanta, I may have talked to management for about 3 hours. I'm not sure it was talking because we were just being loud and not understandable, not intelligible in terms of us just talking about what's La Liga is better than Premier League from top to bottom. But we appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here. Each person who came in and left, have a wonderful 2024 to you and your family. Think about how you can make your family, yourself, your environment better and execute against it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. For those who call in, thank you for calling in. For those who didn't call in and didn't comment, thank you for also for being here. My hope for 2024 is that you achieve all your objectives, you do well, and I will say this, as management would say, Mario, Russell, thank you. We are over and we are out. Have a great 2024, everyone, and look forward to seeing you in the new year. Bye-bye.